Hello everybody, let's exit to port. It is currently 21:04 on the 22nd of February 2023. We have just finished our editorial meeting. And I'm being joined, as always, by my trusty, stout friend, Grumbles the Dwarf. How you doing, Grumbles?
I'm doing good, Tiger. It's good to be here again.
Good to be here. And that is not the only one. We are also being joined by World Traveler, famous NPC, and mostly good egg, just Cheg. How you doing, Cheg?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, and very excited to be not only part of Exit to Podcast that I actually listen to religiously, but also part of the editorial meeting. Hey.
So we have a bit of a loaded episode today. So we're gonna just get cracking. I have a feeling that we might end up with having to cut stuff. We might end up having a special. Like, this could easily end up with the stats bloke treatment. So apologies if there's any content that's on the screen that gets cut. We're going to try to fit everything, but no guarantees at all, just so that's said. But we're going to jump straight in, and I just want to point out, yes, we're probably going to talk about World of Warships, but for once, and I think for the first time in now, actually in our third year of this podcast, we don't directly have anything World of Warships on the gaming part to talk about. That's weird. I'll be honest, that's a bit weird, especially.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, sure.
So I knew I'm going to be part of this podcast. So in order to dodge the bullet, I pressed the red button and moved the new patch content to 2 weeks later.
Well played.
Good choice. Good choice. We like that.
This is a joke, obviously. I don't have such powers, just, disclaimer, but
Don't worry,
I find it funny that it happened like this.
Don't worry, we'll edit the bit where he says he's just joking out.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, the amount of times we as World of Warship streamers have either prayed to Chrysanthos or Conway or who it may be, that, yeah, we know there's a big red button out there somewhere, but what it does, nobody knows. Not even Wargaming. That's the fun part.
True.
Grumbles, you're going to start us off with a couple of demos you've been playing because you're excited about these. Tell us why.
Yeah, very much so. So I played a couple of demos recently, and one of the things that I noticed, just as a side note, is I used to be terrified of like changing games for some reason. I'd be like, oh, everyone just wants to see that game from yesterday, and I'm so glad that I'm over that now. But anyway, so we picked up a couple of SteamWorld, a couple of demos. One of them was called SteamWorld Build. And it was funny because it started off as one of those, hey, here's a key for this thing if you want to have a look at it. And I thought, all right, I'll have a look. I started going through it, and there's like, actually, there's no key for this, but here's a special link dedicated to you playing the demo. And if you play the demo and we see that people watch you play the demo, you might get a key for the full game. I'm like, sure, whatever. It looks interesting. I'll do it anyway. So about as no strings attached as you can possibly get. I found it quite funny that they made the effort of making an actual key page to redeem a key without there actually being a key. But yeah, it was quite delightful. It's a little story about some robots on a bit of a dystopian kind of Wild West type world, and these steambots, as they're called, they are kind of a little bit nervous, a little bit unsure about what's going on. There's some evil beholder eye robot thing that's kind of ordering them about and being very sarcastic and arrogant towards them, but being like, oh, you guys are great, now do my bidding, kind of attitude. There's lots of mystery to it. And what I really liked about it is you do like a little colony building type thing where you're like, okay, this is where they're going to live, this is where they're going to work, this is where they get their warehouses for storing stuff, and and all that kind of stuff. But there's 2 layers to the game. There's like the surface world, where you're building your little villages up and all that kind of thing, harvesting resources, and that kind of progresses over time. And there's upgrades and new areas to unlock and whatever that was beyond the scope of the demo. But what I really loved about it is there's a whole subterranean layer. What a surprise. Dwarf goes down a mine shaft digging holes and looking for gems and stuff, right? But it's just superbly well. I know, no way, right? It's so superbly well done that it's just fun and like really cute animations and stuff. And you put your miners in a certain area. You've got to watch out the as you build like outwards and whatever in the mine. You've got to watch that it doesn't collapse in certain areas. So you've got to make sure that you're shoring the place up as you go along. And then you get different types of miners and different jobs to be done both on the surface and down below. And it all just ties together really neatly. Like your progression in one area is not entirely dependent, but somewhat dependent, and benefits from progression in both places until you reach a certain point. And it's like, okay, you've got to mine these materials to process in this way. And it was just super, super fun.
What kind of graphics? Is it like pixely stuff or?
No, it's not pixely. It's like really. Do you know like My Time at Sandrock or My Time at Portia?
Yes. Yeah,
so I know. It's not as you're not like those big Avatar kind of thing, but think of that zoomed out to like a Sim City kind of level or a city skyline kind of thing. So you get like an isometric view with just really, really cool, nicely done, nicely crafted kind of animations and pieces. You have to plant like a cactus farm and put some cactuses around so that they process that into water, because all your bots run on Steam. So it's just like little cute elements to it like that. It's just really, really neatly done. It's really can't speak highly enough about it. I look forward to seeing how that one develops. And yeah, so that's that one. And then the other one that I played was a game called Havendock that one of the community, Raul Gonzalez, tipped me off to. He said, look, have a look at that. Might be your kind of thing. And talk about hidden gem. Like, I don't know, I'm not very good at like spotting all of these things. I try to look at various like what's coming next and Steam Fest, but there's just a lot going on. You guys know what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
And this one was just like, came out of nowhere. Raul's just like, oh, because Rule's one of these guys like, here's 2 million items on my, watch list. Here's randomly one of them that might suit Crumbles. And we played this demo of Havendock, which is you start out as like the lone survivor. There is a multiplayer experimental with it as well, but I just played solo. So you start out as this solo survivor. It's the same sort of isometric type thing as well. And you're just like on some planks of wood out in the ocean. There's been a plane crash and you've got to just start collecting some wood, catching some fish. What a surprise. If I'm not mining, I'm catching fish. And then you start building out like the dock, and the dock becomes your haven, hence the name. And it's a demo, and we did like pretty much a day and a half of streaming of it.
So it's like Raft, but you're a dock.
Yeah, there's certain little parallels to it like that. Yeah, for sure. There's even some nets you can put around the edge to catch bits, but they're not like OP like in Raft, where you just build like a big wing full of nets. Yeah, and you put down a bar. You've got to take care of like the sort of societal aspects of it. Like you're rescuing people, you give them some food. So, they could be traumatized. They could be an engineer or a farmer, and there's different. There's lots of things that still need like further development and fleshing out. But it's just like it's not that often you can just pick up like a random little kind of indie feeling demo from out of nowhere, and then you can play like 10 hours of it.
So
you guys remember?
Go ahead.
Sorry, you remember the movie The Cube? I think it was called.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
It kind of gives me that vibe.
Oh
like,
no.
You pick, well, it's a little bit darker. You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, this was a plane crash as well, right? And then you have these people that can do certain things to make it better.
Yeah. And the thing with Havendock had this. Like really neat sort of AI to it, where it's a little clunky, needs some more love as well, but it's like, oh, well, you start putting some storage down, then you tell them what to put in the storage, then you put certain like various process chains of things together, like putting a water pump down, putting a like water purification thing down, and then putting a water tank down, that kind of thing, and assign people to different work different stations, and you can set like their working hours, and some people are like insomniacs, so they get a bonus to work at night, and all these kinds of things, because that's how that works in real life, right?
But okay, I have a question here, because
Yeah,
I watched you play some of it. Why are they sleeping on a rock?
That was one of the key points that I didn't understand, but we just went with it. So you can build little houses for them, but they'd ignore the houses entirely. There's no, I think it's because furniture isn't there to be put in. I think it's one of those limited in the demo type things. But if they won't sleep in a house, they need somewhere. They'll just fall down and sleep somewhere face down on the deck, but they'll get miserable, blah, blah, blah. So you put a rock down and they just sleep on the rock.
Yes, because the rock sounds so much more comfortable than just sleeping on a flat dock surface. Yeah. Grumbles, I have a mission for you. You're going to have to get down and dirty into this and find out why the heck do they include a rock as a sleeping platform.
No
this is
clue.
kind of interesting. It reminds me of, like, this is the way... Do you guys play Terraria or Terraria? I never know how to...
I played a tiny bit many moons ago, but it's not been a big game for me now.
As you play, even in multiplayer, doesn't matter, you start getting NPCs coming to your house, and then you make a room for them, but they're still like roaming around and dying to like monsters at night and whatnot, until you create a room that has everything they need in order to turn it into their room or a house, whatever. So you have to like, but you don't know what these things are. So the more you play, the more you learn, and then you okay, now he's in. Okay, so they need like, I don't know, walls, for example, and I don't know, like several things needs to be checked out, like a window, I don't know, a bed, and then they're gonna start living in it. Until then, they're gonna stay outside. I don't know why, but I guess it's like a trigger from like the dev perspective, where okay, when this is all checked, character moves into the house. You know?
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So one of the things with just briefly on the last bit on the rocks is you upgrade them over time. So you put like a bedroll down on them, and they get a little palm tree, and then they get a little like it's like a tree house, but it's like on a rock.
So it's a rock house.
And then it gives them buffs to like how quickly they sleep and how much more refreshed they feel. And then one of the upgrades later on is if you've got a bar and you can get all the ingredients together, you can make glasses of wine, except it's just, it tells you in I tell you, one of the other things that really underscores both of the games, but especially Havendock, is a lot of the dialogue and thing isn't there yet. It just says, look, don't click this. There's nothing to, they won't say anything to you. But they make a joke out of all of it. Like it's a good sense of humor underpinning both of them. But you make this wine, which is just berry juice that you're just telling people it's wine. It's exactly the same drink. But if you take the wine and apply it to the rocks, you upgrade them so they sleep better. And I thought that was a nice touch. So you get people boozed up, they sleep through the night better.
I'd still want to just have a sleeping bag or whatever on the dock instead of on the rock, but to each their own.
Have you tried?
Yes,
have you tried sleeping on the rock?
Yes, I have. I was in the army. I have. Okay. It's not comfortable.
Well, maybe you just don't have good enough rocks.
I mean, that could be.
North.
It could be that Northern Norway has like super hard rocks compared to everywhere else. Yeah, you never know. You could be onto something.
Beautiful
there.
rocks, though.
Yeah, oh yes, very tall. We call them mountains here, but yeah.
Well, why do they sleep on rocks instead of on the floor? Because they can't afford anything better.
Get out.
Live workshopping.
And for once, it's actually not horrible. I wish I had my random grumbles button. I don't. Anyway, Cheg, you. Okay, we're gonna get into it a bit here because your own words during the editorial meeting was that you are boring. So very quickly, who is Cheg and why are you boring?
So this was taken out of context, which I'm used to working for Wargaming.
Very important.
Just like any clips, I end up in, the funny moments or whatever. So to clarify, well, first of all, I do work for Wargaming. I'm a community engagement manager and here in Prague office. But we know each other for much longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of through World of Warships. I'm going to mention another content creator that there are people, you know, you respect and all, but there are people you love, like you really care for them. And it's Grumpy, who at some point, so I used to stream for many years on Twitch. And then one day, there was this game that I used to play, but never stream because I never thought, you know, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I'm a good fit for streaming the game.
Mm.
And it was also my go-to game to relax after work, which at the time was stream, right? So I know this sounds crazy, but if you're a gamer and you start streaming for a living, after you stream, sometimes you just need to sit down and fire up your game that you're relaxed in. And this was World of Warships for me for a long time. But then one day I streamed it and I got raided by Mr. Grumpy Beard with a massive raid in this new environment for me. And therefore I threw a follow. I always used to do this to check, you know, what's up and whatnot, because you don't know the person until you watch them for a bit and whatnot. And then through Grumpy Beard, I met these two gentlemen and many more. But yeah, Tigers and Grumbles. And these ended up being some of my favorite streams to just like run away from reality and chill with super welcoming community. And yeah, just good times in the chat, which most of the listeners know because, of course, they're part of it. But apart from streaming, and which is how I found out about you guys long ago, I used to do quite a lot of things, but I've spent most of my life on board ships, not like Navy ships, but rather cruise ships. So these hotels on the water. Mm-hmm. And this is where I was kind of called boring, because I actually come from a region of the world, which is Balkans, where people drink a lot and are very proud of it. And then on top of that, I was a sailor for many years, but I don't drink. Like I've never had alcohol. And I also don't party. I'm not smoking, none of that stuff. So, you know, when I would meet new fellow crewmen from the ships, they would just say that I'm fake, you know, Balkan person or fake Serb or whatever, because I don't do things that are common. So for them, I was always very boring. But yeah, I like the ship life that is everything but boring. It's crazy. But somehow I got hooked to it. I started very early. I was 21 when I made it to my first ship from Miami, which was the reason I went to the ships. Was actually, so when I studied photography, and when I was done with school, I started working immediately in the IT industry back home. And it was a very well-paid office job, but it was kind of boring for me because I used to do a lot of sports and cycling, and I always liked to travel, and yeah, I don't know, I always needed some kind of adrenaline, something. Then I turned into this person sitting in the office, and even though I would get paid, which was very good, I was very young, it just wasn't for me. But living in this region is kind of tricky to travel the world, even if you have the funding, because of all the visas, passports, whatnot. Mm-hmm. So little Cheg was tinkering, what can I do? What can I make to see the world, because I want to. Mm. And then I saw this ad while at work. They're hiring people on cruise ships. I was like, what are cruise ships? Because Serbia is landlocked. So you don't really, and this was like maybe early 2000s. So you don't really like go around the internet and see these ads and whatnot. And I was like, sure, I like the sea, I like the ocean and whatnot. And I applied for a job. It was more of a joke, like whatever, let's apply. Mm-hmm. And 3 weeks later, I was in Miami, like this, like young Serbian, dude. I was like going with the flow. And back then, I remember I had dreadlocks, I have pierced tongue, I have tattoos, and I went there, and they were like, okay, that's not gonna go. Like, no way.
Rebel Cheg,
So I was like,
huh?
wait, what? Well, yeah, kinda. And I remember like having to, dress up in suits and all that stuff was so difficult for me. But it's so silly because there's a lot of work. Like you work very, very long hours, sometimes 14, 16 hours a day. And you really, like, if you go there just to get paid, it's a bit tricky because it's not that crazy. There's a reason they hire from countries that don't have very high standards. But on the other hand, I was very smart about how I was accepting contracts, and I've traveled most of the world. And to me, like, I never really made much money out of it, but I feel like I've seen more than majority of the population. It's just crazy.
So here's my question to you then. With that sort of job, with that sort of intro, how does one become a gamer in all of this?
Oh, I was a gamer before this.
Okay.
So my parents had a business. It's bookkeeping basically. And so therefore they had their own company with couple of rigs, and we're talking like, this is like before Windows 3.11. It's like, the monochrome displays and but you had these huge, what was 3.5-inch floppies or whatever, I don't remember anymore. Which you could have like 3D Tetris on it, or the original Prince of Persia or stuff like that. And so I started playing games very, very early. And then I got into StarCraft. So I grew up as a Blizzard kid, kind of. And I used to play StarCraft on a semi like professional level, where like we used to play tournaments and whatnot, even make some money as a kid. And it just never, like, this never died in me. Like I was a gamer from the moment I played the first game.
Right.
The tricky part is like when you're on the ships, you don't really have good internet, so I had to like play single player games. But I always had my laptop, on the ships, and I always played games whenever I have a little bit of time. I would play something and whatnot. So yeah.
Nice. And is that how you then got roped into? Because you mentioned World of Warcraft. Like, did you play when the first like vanilla World of Warcraft came out, or has it been, that been a recent introduction?
So basically, I played StarCraft, but then I saw someone else playing World of Warcraft. I played Warcraft 3 as well a little bit, which is a strategy game, but that was never like, StarCraft is still to this day, and the first one, like Brood War, and is still for me the perfect strategy game. But then when they announced World of Warcraft back in the days, we still used to go to these, I don't know, like internet centers, gather around and play together, and it was just a lot of fun. Even if you had the rig and internet, you would still go because friends are there, and your success is bigger and your failures are more fun when there's people around you and whatnot. There was this socializing moment there as well. And then, playing these two games, when they announced World of Warcraft, just the idea of being able to control some units that you've been playing from third person was insane to us. But unfortunately, when it launched, I really wanted to play it, but I couldn't afford it because it has subscription. So we went for Guild Wars 1, because that's like buy and play, which still one of my favorite MMOs. But the moment I had money, the first thing I did was, get into World of Warcraft. And this was still vanilla. So it's still, like, I missed like a couple of months, but I played. And fun fact, I still have my original character from World of Warcraft to this day. So it's a very old one.
What server were you on?
And ever since what server was I on?
Yeah.
Executus. It's one of the OG servers.
Okay. Exciting.
And ever since I played an MMO, I've lost this joy in playing single player games. It kind of killed it for me. I just figured out, oh my god, this is it. So after that, I played so many MMOs, including anything that came out, but some that were sticking were like EVE Online, for example. I've spent, I don't even want to know how many hours in these two games. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, what you saying about MMOs there is interesting. I think a lot of people have seen that, but the fun thing is, I recognize that, and I also know where it came from. It's because of that whole social aspect. Like you get to hang out with people, but it's weird. You also mentioned the part about streaming, being a streamer and constantly gaming, constantly talking to people. Suddenly, I'm into single player games again. And
I'll say something. Single player games are more fun if someone is watching. And I did, during my 5 years of streaming, I certainly played some single player games because I don't feel like, nowadays, if I achieve something in a game, it's just not enough unless someone shares this accomplishment with me.
Yeah. No,
do you guys feel that? Because I just feel like that's completely different. It just makes playing a game without streaming after streaming it just becomes boring in a way.
I totally get that. I typically don't game very much except when I'm streaming because I just enjoy that all-round experience and sharing it with everybody so much more. Lately, I've started to almost have to coach myself into just playing a little bit, sometimes to create like a YouTube video or something like that. And then I feel like I'm kind of streaming. But I've actually started this year in particular just saying, you know what, let's just chill out. Let's just fire something up and see how we feel and see if that's fun or not. And it's definitely doesn't give me the same degree of enjoyment or whatever. But I've never been like a gamer in a traditional, wanting to grind or achieve or unlock everything kind of way. Like I get a little bit of that, can't be immune to it really, but I've never been like that focused on those kind of things.
I used to be. I think we evolved as gamers, quote unquote, where I remember playing games like Gothic 2 or 3 while all my friends were playing Morrowind, which I did not like. I don't know why. And just like, accomplishing things and being hyped about it, and then, going and talking to a friend who also plays, it was enough. But nowadays with, social media, YouTube, Twitch and all that, it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same to me. And it's kind of, I'm kind of sad about this, but at the same time, it's not that bad because there is a way now to, enjoy it, for me at least,
So what you're saying there about not being that way anymore, I recently started playing Hitman again. It was part of just a key mailer gave me a key, but I also got it from my friend Cthulhu because he wanted to see Murder for Hire on stream from time to time, and I thought, yeah, you know what, and instantly, as soon as I started playing, I was back playing Hitman Codename 47 and just being completely back in the got to have Silent Assassin, got to achieve this, got to get these things. It was weird because that part of me has been gone for so long. Sorry,
but
what?
Were you streaming it or not?
I was first I was just playing it offline. Just no streams, nothing, nobody watching, nobody knowing that I played it, and I was transported back there. I was planning how to do all the silent stuff, and I did that with Assassin's Creed too, because Assassin's Creed was also part of that part of me, wanting to complete it, wanting to do these things, and weirdly enough, that has also carried over into Dinkum. And I don't know why, but I want to achieve all the things and do all the things, and I want to do it offline. It's not like I have to show this to people, and I think my gaming joy has been brought back by those two games, like
reignited. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, like or that part of gaming at least. It's not like I've sat here and been miserable playing World of Warships and a lot of those games in the last X amount of years while I've been streaming and such. No, that's not it. But there's that little part of me that has been reignited through that, and that has been fun. A lot of fun.
I envy you, man. That's amazing.
I think it's all about just finding that one game that reignites that. And but I don't have a magical solution to that or anything.
I don't know how you do it, because for me the biggest issue is one game. Okay, so for those who don't stream, streaming is insane level of multitasking, and it's very demanding mentally to play the game and carry your stream for long hours. And so the game itself now is just not enough for my brain to stay focused on it anymore. I struggle with that nowadays. It's just not enough. It becomes boring in a way.
Because you want to comment, you want to get that, hey, you guys see that? You want that acknowledgement. I know. I struggle with that a long time. I find myself doing commentary for myself from time to time, which is kind of good because I'm a streamer, but at the same time, I have these moments of, hold on, what am I doing?
It's a trap. This happens to everyone. It's 100%.
But
wait, I know you're gonna tangent here.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, segue.
There we go. Yeah,
but right. I'm afraid.
Okay.
There's something I want to bring up.
Go on.
Because all three of us are streamers, right? But I don't know how you guys got into streaming. But for me, I've had a crazy life that I'm super proud of, and I love it. Because I did things that I wanted to do. I achieved my goals. So I was doing ships, traveled the world, met so many people, then lived in Norway. Actually, I used to live in Drammen for almost a year. I worked on some huge productions back home. Some movies, like working with names like Luc Besson, or quite a lot, which is also crazy job. That was like part of my dream as a childhood dream and whatnot. And then a couple of things happened, and I've lost it all, everything I care for, including very important relationship to me, in a very kind of stressful way that I don't really want to, like, I talked about this even on my streams and whatnot. It's not a secret, but I don't want to bring anyone down with this. And I ended up in the darkest places of the mind. So after being like super social and everything, I've locked myself in. Actually, this happened during one of the sets where I just started crying, and then in the middle of the set, like working with thousands of people, on a TV show, having to be like, responsible for others and whatnot. And I just couldn't get back to my normal self. I would end up in tears and whatnot. And then after a couple of days, I decided I'm done. I'm going to quit this. I was easily replaced because we were in like circles of people who can do the same stuff. And I went back home, and I was locked in my room for about 6 weeks, only going for like bio and like outside, and that's it. And I was just in the dark. Here's the thing, like, we all feel like we are depressed, and this word is used very easily, lightly, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet depression, and then if you are experiencing it, and you immediately recognize this in other people, whether they know it or not. And it's so much bigger than you ever think it is, and so much darker. And after 6 weeks of just living in complete isolation, I realized that if I don't make any contact with people, I will be lost. But the problem is, I had so many friends that by now I've pushed away from me because I feel like a black hole sometimes, and it's difficult with people that care for you because they want to help you, but they cannot. And then they fail in their attempt to help you. They feel bad about not succeeding, but you feel them suffering because of what they did not achieve and all that. I have very high empathy, so this was affecting me in a huge level. So I needed people that don't know anything about me and they don't know that I am in this state, so that we can talk about random things. And being someone who was always enjoying streams and YouTube and games and whatnot, I've decided to just start my stream. Just to be able to talk to anyone or just myself, because when you start streaming, it's rough, especially if you don't have any networking. I'm that lurker guy, in the streams. Like, I don't really communicate, but I watch streams all the time. And like before I started streaming, even before Twitch was Twitch,
Just in TV.
And just in TV, exactly. And so I started. So I started I started with Diablo 2, but this was not that long ago, like 7 years ago or so. And then I transferred into like some smaller games like Darkest Dungeon, and I got like 5-10 people around me that would come every day, and we would talk about travels, and it was easy for me to connect with people because wherever they are from, I've probably been there.
Yeah.
It was like super easy to like create this first contact with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I still have really difficult struggles. I gave up on so many things in my life because of the depression and how it affects people around me. I barely talk to my family, and I can say that I have maybe 2 friends, and even with them, I talk like a couple times a year because I just feel like I'm burdening everyone. Even though they will always tell you no, but you can feel it if you know them. But stream is what saved me. I can easily say this saved me from myself, because depression can be very, very deep, and just being able to talk to people about random stuff. Eventually I opened up, and back then when I was streaming, people knew about it, because something would trigger me and I would start crying in the middle of the stream, and have to I don't hide my emotions. But this was saving grace for me, and I'm so happy that I tried, and it ended up being very successful at time. But there was never there was never a driving force for me. No like money or anything. It was not about that. It was just about being able to talk to people about the game, or traveling, or something random that they don't try to help you. And this is what, like, everyone goes through depression differently, and different things help. So I stay away from giving advices, and I will not give any now. But for me personally, this was so big and so important. And later on, it helped me meet quite a lot of amazing people. Some of them just, being viewers. Some of them being my trusty mods that, I'll mention the name Delicia. Wherever I go, you see her. And she's like, mother/sister to me. I love this person, so much. Then some streamers that you connect with along the way, because if you keep streaming, you network a lot. You guys know this better than anyone, because you have these circles that are amazing. And I know if Grumbles, or Tigers host someone, raid someone, it's always good fun and a great discovery, because you're very careful of where you're like sending your community to. And then eventually it opened up even this job for me, which is crazy. To be part of a company that creates a game that I play for insane amount of hours, even before that. So I just wanted to bring this up because quite a few people around me know this, but you never know. Maybe someone finds something similar in their life and it might help them. And I think one important thing is, like, you watch us on streams. Like, I don't want to turn this into, this kind of a podcast, but I think it's important because I had situations where people would come to me, and because when I was really going through rough stuff while streaming, I had a message under that says depression is real. And then I had people coming to me, seeing me laugh and smile, and they're like, you're not depressed, you're smiling. And it's difficult for people to see through
If they only
that,
knew.
that we are only humans. We deal with very difficult stuff sometimes, but you rarely see it on the stream because different reasons. Some wear the masks, for some it's like an escape, for some that's how they cope with it. You know what I mean?
I think it's a more common story than most people are aware of for streamers. Both the
Sure.
way you describe your journey into it and also as a coping mechanism for a lot of people. I think it is a way more common thing than people are fully aware of. And like you said, you see it on people. And for somebody that's gone through it, you are aware of it and you can kind of notice it on others. And I definitely know some streamers out there that will that I can kind of point and say, yep, you are both neurodivergent and likely also depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know and I see the tells and everything. And that's sort of the thing that you learn as a content creator, and streaming is a massive outlet for so many. Important outlet.
Both
and
sides.
Input. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I got so many messages of people, like even crazy stuff like, hey man, you saved my life. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, look, I was on the edge and then I realized there's other people like that. And if you can do it, I can do it. And this is crazy. I don't know if you guys know about Trackful. He used to be one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. Having so much, like money was never an issue for this guy. And he used to play World of Warcraft, but he was also like, it's kind of crazy. Like this, I don't really watch content like that, but I connected with him because I saw depression in him like big time. But he was also open about it and very well spoken about it and whatnot. And then he committed suicide. Unfortunately. And this was one of the most, like, I wasn't even watching him on a regular basis. I would just like watch, sometimes and watch the videos, but I didn't even realize how much I connected to this person. And I was literally like this because I would know, like I would watch his videos and his sessions with like psychiatrists and whatnot, because he was very transparent. And it hits you, like, because I remember crying that day. I streamed that day and I was crying the whole stream because it hit me so hard. Because he was that person for me. I didn't even know until it happened that if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? And then he didn't make it. And this is when you realize, oh my God, as a streamer, if you have, like you guys have proper communities around you, we affect so many people. That was the first time I actually thought about stopping streaming, because you affect so many people. It's just crazy how much it hit me that he did not go on. Super unfortunate. But I, of course, recovered from it and have like, this will be always something I remember. It's very dark, but people connect with us on such a different level that you never, like, until it hits you, you don't understand from either side. But it's so deep and it's amazing actually how much people can connect through Twitch. Okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna go deeper with this. I'm sorry.
You want to hear something fun? You just did a segue.
Nice.
Oh my God,
Because
did I?
we are into content creation through that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Perfect. It's almost like he's listened to our podcast. or something.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. But yes, we are going to talk a bit more specifically about the stuff that goes on behind content creation, and as such, the parasocial relationship is very real for streamers, and as part of that, one thing we often will see is somebody that we regard as a regular, or somebody that we enjoy having in our channel, comment negatively about ads. And here we go again. Yes, I'm going to whip a dead horse because reasons. Ads keep coming up as a thorn in streamer sides these days on Twitch, and I think they're a thorn in the eyes of the people watching, because they get forced on us. They literally get forced on us, and I recently had a conversation with my moderators on this. Because the ad incentive program just keeps going in raw dog, no lube. It's just, at least buy me dinner first, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The sad part is, the payout from this is not enough to buy me dinner. So, I have decided to go ahead and now run an experiment this week. I haven't really streamed enough but with only running pre-rolls. No mid-rolls at all, only pre-rolls. Not a care in the world outside of that.
Yeah, because then you have control over it, at least.
Exactly. And I'm going to try next week with having only mid-rolls, but only 1 minute 30 every 30 minutes. That way you get rid of pre-rolls, just to see if there's a tiny bit of difference in this. But it's so difficult, because I do believe that with the ad incentive program, Twitch are making so much more money than they're actually giving out to the people in part of it. And I can't really say too much about it, but I have on good authority that people that stream as much as me, with as many hours and minutes, get paid way more. So it's only that they can guarantee that this is going to be this many minutes. Here you go. So I've decided to turn off the ad incentive program until we see some sort of good return on that. But like, advertisement is an important part, and we see YouTube do it in a good way. But then again, YouTube is also not live.
Exactly. Such a different story.
It is. So I know I've talked to Grumbles about this for many minutes, but what is your way of viewing ads and idea around them as a content creator, Cheg?
Okay, so I'm in a little bit of a different situation here on so many levels. First of all, I used to stream from Serbia, and watch stream from Serbia, and now from Czech Republic. And Serbia and Czech Republic don't have ads. Like, sometimes, very, very rarely, it happens. So most of the times I will see like grumbles like, oh, it's, ads are rolling, and I'm like, I don't have it. For the longest time, I thought this is happening because I'm a partner. But then I've learned that, nope, it has nothing to do with it. Because when there is an ad, I see it. And I was never a fan of using ad blocks. I'm not telling people to use it or not use it. I don't care. But in my mind, especially someone who is or used to be a content creator, I want to sit through an ad because this is a way of me easily helping the content creator, like the idea of it, without doing anything for it, right? So I just sit through and it's fine. However, on YouTube, I know for a fact that it works like this. If you pay for premium as a YouTube, enjoyer, you don't watch ads, but the creator gets paid as if you watched.
Yes.
And premium for YouTube, I think, is becoming more and more popular. Now, I don't know if that works for them or not, but I'm never not having premium ever again. Now, I don't know if, what was it called? Turbo or Nitro? What was it called? No, Nitro is Discord. What was it called for Twitch?
Yeah, they have Turbo.
They have Turbo, yeah.
Turbo. I don't know if it works the same way.
It should, but I don't think it does.
Okay.
I think that
remember
part of Turbo, I've never had it, but it's like an additional, like it's more expensive than Prime.
But it works for like all channels, right?
Different stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because Prime used to remove ads completely too.
Exactly.
But then
But for that one channel.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You used to have Prime, and that removed all.
Yeah, not the Prime sub, but like if you had Amazon Prime,
yeah,
you get your one free sub, that kind of thing, or the one that you've already paid for. I think there should be some element of that, in parallel to what you're describing for YouTube. But their equivalent is the Turbo, which is then more expensive or more money on top.
So here's kind of my spin-off on this. Prime Gaming, let that just, yeah, it can be ad-free viewing. But hey, how about we have Twitch streamers kind of say, hey, if you go for Turbo, you still get ad-free viewing, but all the streamers you watch get ad revenue as if you are watching ads. Huh? Eh?
So this is exactly what YouTube does, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is how it works. So we might be talking about something that actually works, but the big difference is I don't think Twitch ever advertised their Turbo a lot. And I don't think streamers do either. And I think the reason for this is lack of knowledge, which is scary.
Tell you what, I would push Turbo on all my viewers if I knew that it would remove ads for them and it would be an added benefit for me. I would clearly do that.
Yeah.
Twitch,
Twitch Turbo Guide. Ad-free viewing across Twitch. Watching with Turbo means no pre-rolls, no mid-rolls, no companions, and no display ads.
So it does work like that.
Yeah.
Except,
but does the content creator get ad revenue or not?
That's what I'm still reading up on. I don't see anything of that yet.
No,
because that's what YouTube does, and I think it's great because now I don't feel bad about not seeing an ad.
So Twitch partners and affiliates still get credit for ad impressions when a Twitch Turbo subscriber watches their channel. Now, there's a lot of words in there that I don't know. I'd have to look up what that exactly means, but they still get credit for ad impressions. Is that their terminology for you get ad revenue? Don't know. Well, we shouldn't say it is or it isn't. It needs more research. But I think Cheg's made hit the nail on the head. Is that until about a year ago when someone mentioned it, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Exactly. I don't think they want people.
Never heard of it.
I don't see a reason why they wouldn't want people to have Turbo, but at the same time, maybe they have a bigger overhead on actual subs. Lord knows. It's Twitch. I've tried to ask the question on Twitter, but I don't have the biggest Twitter following to kind of get like an answer. And how do pre-rolls work? Like what decides how long the pre-rolls are? But no answer. So
yeah, and the fact that like all three of us are Twitch partners, but like getting something out of them like this, you'll never like get any information. I'll tell you one thing that really makes me mad about Twitch and their ad program is the more viewers you have on your Twitch channel, the more you get paid for ad, like a revenue, because more eyes are seeing the ad time, which means Twitch gets more money because more eyes are on the ad, right? Except for this is not true, because there's something on Twitch that is allowed, and this also like kind of killed my joy in streaming back in the days, and people who played this card trampled me back in the days of me streaming other shows online, where you're not allowed to bot your channel, right? Like this is a big no-no for Twitch. However, you are totally allowed to embed your stream into your personal website, and then feature your stream. I don't want to say this in the wrong way. No. Embed your stream into your personal website, which can be 1 pixel, by the way, and then bot your website. And this will count. When you see people having insane views, but you open the chat list, which they changed now, by the way, you could open the chat list and see the exact number, and you will be like, wait, there's 3,000 people, but there's only 20 people in the list. By the way, I tested this. And I told my viewership, like, hey, guys, something really silly is going to happen next month. Don't trust the numbers. And I told them what I did. I didn't care. Like, I was like, look, I just want to see if this is as crazy as it is. And I got my stream embedded into a news portal with a lot of traffic. And I would just log in, and it would skyrocket. And I would be on top of the category. And so the problem is, this is this is allowed. Like this is why at some point a couple of years ago, every successful streamer I know around me made their website with like kind of something about like small wiki pages about the game that they play. So in Elder Scrolls Online, this became very popular. And I was like, why does every streamer need their own website? This is insane. It makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
And then I was digging, and then I found out. I was like, okay, I see. Because I'm not going to name any names, but if we are streaming Elder Scrolls Online, and two of us are same numbers, kind of, like, I don't know, 200-300 people, and then I tried streaming World of Warcraft and I have 14, but they start streaming World of Warcraft and they have 300. I'm like, wait a minute, this is just not how it works. It just isn't. And Twitch allows this. And at some point, the advertisers that are paying Twitch to advertise their stuff there will realize that such a big number of eyes are fake, because you can pay $3 a month and have like 100 bots on your website that count as viewers on your stream.
Mm-hmm.
And none of this is actual, ad revenue, because no one is seeing these ads in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, this will. And I think this is part of the reason why Twitch ad revenue is so low, because I don't know. I don't know if YouTube is a huge billboard, right? Like, but then is Twitch actually such thing? And how much people know about this? And I think because this has been happening for like 2-3 years now, 3 more, and I think it's getting known. And
yeah, I think they are actually changing the whole embed view, because that's what happened to services like Khadgar. Khadgar was in essence one of these embed services where you could say, okay, I want to watch the Grumpy Beard and Grumbles and Cheg and Mari and
like multi-stream.
Yeah. And then you could have a view of all of them at the same time without any issue. But they've kind of cut down on them, and they stopped counting as views. So I think they are in the works of working on the whole, does actually embed count as a stream and or a view and so on. So because they don't want that's clear. And
here's a tricky part. Like, I hope you're right, but at the same time, recently, like less than a year ago, Twitch changed. And if you pay attention, I don't know if you did this before, but if you used to click on little 2 dudes, on above the chat, and it will list everyone in your stream. And now if you click on it, it will tell you something along the lines of some of the people that are watching this stream. And you always get the same like amount, because not everything is listed. And to me, like, this is tinfoil hat, of course, but to me this was like, this is an easy way for them to protect embedded streams from being exposed, because people started exposing.
Yeah, like it's a bit of the thing for Twitch, because they could technically go out and say, hey, we have this many viewers, but yeah, no, it's let's not pull the tinfoil hat too far down right now. We can do that at a different time. However, despite Twitch's many faults in constant issues with ads, they do sometimes do good things. And
I mean, they saved my life.
I mean, this is true, but I'm talking about features. And they have recently implemented a couple of things that Grumbles is very excited about, and actually had the entire Grumbling very excited last Friday. And because I wasn't aware that they did this, and it's the ability to add other accounts and streamers in your title. What?
Okay.
When did this come?
That's one of those.
I don't even know about this.
Frisbee or boomerang or something like classic Twitch. So I'm going to preface this by saying this is my absolute favorite feature, and people will probably be like in the comments like, oh, you forgot about this one and this one, and that's fine. You know, my memory's like, but this is my absolute favorite feature they've ever brought in. Probably right now somebody is coding some kind of bug into it that is going to disappear in 5 minutes because I'm so hyped on it. But they introduced, there was like one of the typical Twitch, like, we'll barely mention this somewhere. I don't even know how it was in the back of my mind. I'd seen something, maybe an email like the monthly thing or whatever, right? But somewhere I was aware that they were bringing in the @ feature. So the @ feature is you type the @ sign or symbol and then a channel name. So just exactly as it appears on Twitch. And you can put that, for example, in your title, your stream title. And when you do that, at least on normal browser window, I was asking people how it looks on mobiles and tablets the other day, but I didn't see the answer in chat because it flew by. But on a normal browser, it gives you, you see the @ it's colored, and then so it stands out from the rest of the title text. And when you hover over it, you just mouse over it, you don't have to click or anything at that point. It brings up a little pop-up that shows the background image, the avatar for the channel description, the follower information and stuff like usual, like numbers and things. And it gives you a little, if you click it, it opens up that channel in a separate window. So you don't click away from where you're watching and where you're getting that sort of reference or that recommendation. And then there's even the little heart icon you can just follow immediately from that pop-up window.
Yep.
It's fantastic. It's really smooth. It's really slick. The colors and the scaling and everything is just spot on, at least in my experience.
Yeah, no, I looked at it on Friday and I was like, wow, this is actually really great. Yeah. And you know where that whole little heart thing also pops up?
Mm-hmm.
The built-in Shoutin. Shout out. Shoutin? Shout out.
Yeah, the shout out.
My brain actually derped that one. The built-in shout out.
Yeah.
So, and I noticed that like people were shouting out others through this, and I was like, what has given attention to? Like, what is this? And then one day somebody gave attention to somebody I didn't already follow. Like, oh, that's how that works. And that little heart icon pops up and you can click it and insta follow. No need to go to the channel.
It's a very good solution.
It is. It is.
And hell, it's about time.
Yeah,
but
yes.
So I was trying. There you go. You fell straight into the trap. So the trap that I set up was like, here's this awesome feature, and which one of us was going to break first and say, why hasn't it always been like that? So yeah. So definitely, I can't stress it enough in a positive way. Use the @ feature if you're playing a game, co-oping with somebody. If you're role playing together with people, or you just want to shout your buddies out in a novel and more engaging way, use the @ feature in your Twitch titles. So I had it already buzzing around in the background. I was like, oh, that'll come along whenever. And I wasn't even sure. I was like, how are you even going to use that? Is that going to be like a lookup thing? Are they going to change the discovery and all that? And then I just tuned into Gassy Mexican, and he had implemented it on, good for him, thumbs up as an ambassador. And I was like, oh, that's how they're using that. Okay, that makes total sense. Like, I hadn't really even thought of it. And then I saw it and I was like, oh yes, that's the thing. And then immediately the next day started shouting about it to all my buddies here. So go for it. It's a great way to give people some additional discovery and just build communities and stuff together with people. And the built-in shout-in, just to cover that, why I so love that is, yes, you get that like join us in following so and so along kind of thing, but even better than that, in my point of view, we streamers, it's often great to get a little confidence boost or a little smile from something, right? And one of the things that you get that from the most is when you get the acknowledgement, appreciation, respect, and so forth from your peers. It's really nice just to say, hey, cool, so-and-so remembered me, so-and-so shouted me out, or whatever, right? And we always have different conversations about shout-outs and stuff. But in this particular case, you see when you use this /shoutout built-in Twitch feature, it appears in the activity feed in OBS or your stream manager, I assume in the other products as well for streaming, at least the more popular, more advanced ones. it shows up in the activity feed that Grumbles the Dwarf just shouted you out to X numbers of viewers right now. And I really like that, because you know that the other person's going to get a little smile, a little buzz, a little confidence boost or whatever, the same way I feel it when someone does that for me. And I think it's just a really, really cool feature.
Can I just buzz in here very quickly? Because you guys know I'm not a fan of shoutouts. I don't do them very often. I want them to mean something, because I feel no matter where I go, all I hear is streamers going, oh, can we have a shout out for this and that and those people because of those reasons. Or actually, most of the time, it's not even with a reason. Shoutouts have lost their meaning for me. So I've made an express request to most people. Give me a shout out if something exciting has happened, something extraordinary is happening.
I'll fight you on this one, though.
I get that, but this is just my personal opinion on it and personal feeling around it. Because if I go to somebody's channel and the streamer just says, oh, shout out for this person and nothing else,
that's bullshit.
I'm
but
gone.
For me, it's just nothing.
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, okay.
Like I'm sitting there and somebody shouts somebody out and I'm like, why is this person being shouted at? Tell me something. Give me a hook.
Okay, that there we agree. Because when I have a shout out on my channel, I make sure to talk to my community about what, like,
yes,
this is why I'm gonna be in that channel. This is why you're gonna see me in TigersDen's channel, because they have very welcoming community, because they are very chill, because this and that, and I'm gonna show them that I personally have appreciation for the streamer, and I will never shout out someone I don't know. The only person that can do this in my stream is Delicia, because I trust her. And then if she does it, I'm gonna ask her why, and she's gonna tell me why, and I'm gonna read it out. And for me, I think if you share excitement about the stream, chances are someone from your community will go and check because they like you. So if you like that other person for a good reason, they might like it as well.
So this is
just
what I mean.
Just a shout out as it is, that's nothing. I just don't.
This is what I mean about how I do shout outs. I want them to mean something. I want them to carry weight, which is why I give a reason and I talk about it. And yes, I don't always follow my own rule of being something extraordinary happening. I break that rule quite often, but that's when I want people to shout me out, to put it like that. But I'll shout out Grumbles and I'll talk about why I shout out Grumbles. I'll explain, yes. Like, and for those I really trust, I even have the show off command where we see a little clip and then I talk a bit about it and other happenings on the channel and why people really should be there. That's what I do. But I want that shout out to have a meaning. And
I agree to that.
We'll probably touch a bit about this on this a bit later. Kind of. It's like I'm my own worst enemy, so I don't want attention around it, but I know we've talked so many times about the discoverability on Twitch. Like, finally, they are doing something about discoverability. It's community driven, but it's still a step up that is actually built into the platform as opposed to driven by stream elements or whatever service you might use. So, yeah, about time.
Look, the shout out, I'm totally in about time club, but the feature the add feature, I think I'm gonna be a bit of a negative Nancy with this one, because I can already imagine this being monetized by streamers behind the curtain.
Oh yeah.
As in, like, if you have a really big reach and someone pays certain amount of something to have them under insert really big streamer here's title, and this is why we can't have nice things, because if this becomes a thing, we're probably going to lose it.
Go ahead and give me 5 gifted subs and I'll put you in the ad and the title.
For example, yeah.
I think that is a possibility. But what I like about this is that it is community or streamer driven, and it's up to streamers to be, good or not so good or whatever. And also, this isn't any different than like any other platform, pretty much. So I'm sure there'll be a case somewhere down the line where somebody's putting like @CoCarnage on their title, right? And
100%.
yeah, and it'll just be like, what the, but in a way that's not that much different than, hey, so and so streamer, World of Warships player suddenly starts playing Hogwarts Legacy or Atomic Heart, or you know what I mean. I think there's subtle elements of this everywhere, but I think I don't. Also, there's no other way of stopping this, like in business generally. Such and such recommends so and so. I mean, advertising is basically that. It's like, true, yeah. I recommend this brand. Here, drink this energy drink, kind of thing. So I agree that could happen, but I'm so pumped for this as a discovery and a streamer-driven thing. It's your choice. You're responsible for your title. So I'm so excited for that, and we'll have to see if people get held accountable for finding some way to abuse it. But like, I don't really see it as abuse in the sense that you can choose to do it. Someone can sit there all day saying, I drink Coca-Cola or nothing but Coca-Cola all day.
You know what else someone can do? Someone can make an account with a really bad name and do shoutouts with very inappropriate, maybe, anti-transgender or keep shoutouts that pop up in the feed for, I hope they have protection system, because Twitch is known to slip on some things,
Yeah, but that you're in the I know, maybe simplifying it, but you're in the phrase of in the zone of if someone's going to actively go against TOS, they're going to go against TOS. And this is why I like it, because this is in the hands of the streamers. So will people do bad things with it? Sure, some people will. Should they be held accountable for it? Maybe they get their channel banned or something, bang, gone.
Wait, can you protect yourself from the message that someone else shouted you?
So it only shows up in your activity feed. It doesn't pop up anywhere. It doesn't give you any
live chat or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's I can quickly share a screenshot.
So you can remove widget, sort of. No, I get it. Because some people have like these widgets that show, the activity or whatever, and that will probably show. No, but then you can just turn it off.
So it doesn't actually show up. Like for me, I have Stream Elements as my activity feed. That I show on stream, follows, raids, and so on, and it's not there, but it is in the Twitch activity feed. So the one I see on my streamer board, you could probably have that pop up since it is in the API, but I wouldn't do that.
Hey, kudos to Twitch for making it a separate thing that you can protect yourself from. There you go.
Yeah. No, it's. I don't think it was ever meant as something that was supposed to go public, but rather, as Grumble says, more of a, hey, dude, somebody mentioned you.
It feels
hey, cool.
It feels good.
Yeah, it does. Like, as much as I don't like shoutouts for them just being shoutouts, if somebody has mentioned me, I'm gonna be like, and especially if it's a name I don't know, I'm like, oh. Who's this? Let's go say hello. Let's
this
go
is
see
also
what's
content.
It is,
because you can do something and a name pops up and you can talk about this person should you decide to, like, oh, Grumbles just shouted me out. Do you guys know Grumbles? You know what I mean? Like it can start a conversation if you want to.
That's what I see it as, a community building thing in the hands of the streamers. So anyway, I like it, and I agree with the whole. There should be like a more to doing a shout out than just like /shout out. But I think sometimes you need some degree of nuance or caveat to it. Like, for example, we've never really talked about this before. It actually slightly upsets me, like not in any deep way, but it slightly upsets me that I can't shout out some of my friends, like Tiger. There's more than just Tiger. There's people that have come and say, I don't want to be shouted out. We actually have a no shout out, a no show list. We have a command that is like, some people don't like to be shouted out. So we put that in the chat when people who don't like to be shouted. But it makes me a little bit sad because there's so limited possibilities to help your friends be discovered, you know, or pass that on to different audiences or whatever. And I think that's I just think it's a pity. It makes me sad that I can't do shout outs. And sometimes I'm in the middle of something like roleplay, and it's like I can't stop now for 5 minutes and talk about my friend Tiger, but I love him to bits and I want to shout him out while there's 100 people watching.
But that's understandable, I think.
Things on the back of a horse, you know.
Yeah, no.
People who watch RP are very patient and understanding, and though, you know, I think Tigers understands why you cannot do it. I do, for sure. Like when I see you wink when I show up in the chat, you know, and I know what's going on, and I'm like, okay, we're good, or wave, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, and I will say, I've possibly started becoming more relaxed around the idea of somebody shouted me out, because I used to be like, it used to make me cringe. Like, why? I'm nobody special. That's kind of the idea that goes on in my head. Like, why am I being given attention? There's so many others out there that deserve attention, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm warming up to it after. Let's see. When did I hit partner? 2020? Yeah.
We can sit out like not during podcast, and I can give you so many reasons you're wrong.
In your
but
opinion,
it would take some time. Yes.
This is my opinion.
But I think you would agree.
These are not
the
facts.
way I would present it, I think you would agree.
Oh,
but it would take time.
My head just kind of instantly recoils and goes, nope, don't want attention. Nah, let's go away. Nah, going away. la, not listening. It's that sort of thing going on.
I would respect that though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't push it on you, but there's a lot to it.
Yes, and
we talked about Grumbles not being able to I'm gonna steal a segue.
Okay.
Grumbles not being able to do shoutouts while he's role playing.
Yes. And that's why
which takes us to
Know Your Role. There we go. I made that one about 2 hours before we started. Hope that one
perfect.
is okay. I mean, it's so badly done. There's so many things I could do with it, but you know, here we are.
No, but we did not practice this.
No,
I
we
said,
didn't.
and this takes us to, and you did the fun. Oh my god! Do you get points for this?
Fake internet points, I guess.
I'll take it.
Because
it's free.
Let's be fair, a lot of role playing online in the world of the internet is evolving around fake internet points, and a lot of us are super into it. Be they Dinkums, be they Blokens. No, what were they called? The things on the summer event for Eco Grumbles.
Oh, okay.
The coins that Stats used. What were they called?
I don't know. I don't do it.
And then there were Eddies or Eddies now during the Eco event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and that's one way of looking at internet points, but there is one very big internet point out there, and that is being an actual NPC. Cheg.
Oh.
How does it feel to be an actual NPC?
So it feels insane and exciting, but at the same time very disappointing. And I'll explain. There was this game. This was my first connection with wargaming by chance. So I was looking into playing other games, and I got this. I think it was through. What's the name? The Keys website that you just mentioned it, like literally 20 minutes ago.
Keymailer?
Keymailer, yeah. And I know, actually I'm wrong. So I woke up one day and I read this mail from Wargaming saying, hey, as you were part of the beta for Pagan Online, we would like to tell you that we have a next wave. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what the crap that is. Like, I got no clue. So I woke up, and I Googled Pagan Online. I was like, wait, this is about Slavic mythology. And, and and it's like in third person. It's like Diablo, kind of like these games. And I got very interested. I love Slav mythology. It's like very, very entertaining. I'm not religious or anything, but it's fun because just the shortest possible story about it. Like, so this is very pagan, right? So the main god, it's a multi god thing, and then so the main god sleeps, and we all live in his dream, and the rest of the gods are maintaining his sleep, because if he wakes up, it's the end of the world, basically. Right. But it's so peaceful, and like kind of this idea of like, hey, we live in someone's dream is like, it was always so appealing to me. It's fun. So I looked into it, and I was like, this actually looks like fun. So I played it, but it was under very, very strict NDA. You were not even allowed to mention the name. That's how crazy it was.
Wow.
And I played it, and I loved it. I was like, oh my God, when is this coming out? So immediately I've sent an email to the community manager. Not going to go with any names, but she was working for Wargaming, not anymore. Now she works for another company. And I was like, look, at this, I'm mind blown. And I've told them, look, if you ever do anything with this game, I want to stream it. I want to like just tell me when the NDA is lifted. And I was super hyped about it because I love the theme and everything. So we come to a point where it becomes open beta and they allow people to stream. And there was like 4 or 5 people that were streaming it every day. And it's turned into my game. So Pagan Online was supposed to be an MMO Diablo-like game. You choose your character and then you go with them. They all have special abilities, but it's also kind of MOBA-ish because each character has like only 3, abilities, and then you collect armor and you go through the story that is beautiful and whatnot. It's a really beautiful world. So for a long time, we tested it for like 2-3 months, and they were supposed to release the game in February, whatever, of the next year. But instead, they released it the same day World of Warcraft Classic came out, which was very unfortunate. And they were featured on, like just before that, they were on Gamescom with World of Tanks, and they had the entire Sabaton there. And even to this day in a game, you can have Sabaton like skins for your heroes and whatnot. So it was like they had big plans for this. So what I found out that the studio is actually 5 minutes away from my home in Belgrade. So basically, this one's produced by Wargaming, but done by Madhead Games in Serbia. So I made a trip to the studio, got to know the people who work on the game. It's crazy, like amazing atmosphere in the studio, like super, super nice. And I became kind of like, they didn't have a CC program, but they were supporting a couple of us with occasional giveaway or this or that, featuring something or whatever. Yeah. And then before the release, they made 4 bosses in the arena have names of 4 of us content creators. So back then, I don't know if you guys remember, but I've changed my nickname on Twitch. It used to be Bearded Cheg. And there's a character that you can kill in Pagan Online. Pagan Online is not online anymore. It's now something else, Pagan Distant Worlds, or I don't know.
Absent Gold.
There you go. And you can still play through the entire story. It's a beautiful story. And then this is like end game content where second arena difficulty is you need to kill this, I don't know, it looks like a Minotaur kind of guy. And it's Bearded Cheg. So you can, and all 4 bosses are actually 4 content creators. So it was, and just getting to know this was, because we didn't know, like they never told us. And then we made quite a big community because all streamers were really good. Like we became really good friends and we would stream together and whatnot. It was great. And then, viewer comes and sends you a screenshot of, they just killed me in the game, And I was like, what? and then this entire meme of going yourself to kill the guy in the game that is you, and then the memery around it and whatnot. So it was absolutely beautiful and amazing. You kind of feel this like, wow, it's one of those I made it things,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the project died to no surprise because it was, pushed at the same time as Classic, which I went to the studio begging them not to do this. So it was a bit ahead of time. So their networking had some issues and rubber banding and whatnot. But also it was released on the same time as Classic. And I asked them and they were like, no, we're not having the same audience. I was like, it's Classic, man. Everyone who plays any RPG will go and try it and your launch will not happen. And that's what like even I played Classic on, on launch day and not pay online. It was so sad. And the game slowly died down, and then they turned it into an offline experience. Still, you can still get it, and you can still kill me in it. So kind of cool, but yeah, didn't have as happy ending story as I was hoping.
Yeah. No, I think honestly, if they'd waited with a push for that, like even just a month, the hype around Classic had already died around then. And only even the most hardcore, like I was hardcore back in vanilla and TBC. We're talking, it ruined many aspects of my life. But hey, that's a fun story for a different time. But honestly, even I was, after about a month or two, I was done with it, because
I mean, even if I could play another game with it after a month. You know what I mean? Because
so if they just pushed it, I think the setting sounds cool, and anything that has
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It had some difficulties.
Really cool. Which is
why I think the studio that did it, they used to do the mobile games, so it looked like there's gonna be a lot of like in-game monetization, and then wargaming. So people were thinking about it, but they promised they're not gonna do it, and they never did. They said that monetizing will be made through DLCs and whatnot, like additional content in a way, like expansions and and then. Yeah, it's just it breaks my heart, man. It was so big because back then, if you go to a wargaming website where you see all the games, Pagan was there. Like it was one of these not even 10 games. It was like, oh my god, it was huge, and it was on the launcher and everything, and you think, oh, that's it, man. This is the thing that's gonna happen, and then it just look. Game development in the industry now, I know there's of course I can't talk a lot about it because NDAs and whatnot, but you guys maybe you have an idea, but there's so many things that are developed and you never know if they're going to come out or not. It's just crazy. And it takes so much time. Like developing is such a long process. It's like, I understand things a little bit better and have more patience nowadays because nature of my job, but it's just insane.
Yeah, like just looking back to everything that has been featured on E3 and Gamescom back in the day, where that's when you make it as such, and then suddenly going, what happened to the development of this? Nobody knows. And when you can see such titles that are daring enough to go out there and be big and bold on E3 and Gamescom, we're talking worldwide stages, and then not make it. Could you imagine how many behind the scenes that get terminated and not even thought of? Like it's there's a lot in there.
I'm sure that doesn't happen to Skull and Bones. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, they're not done yet.
Oh, man.
Are they? Or don't tell me they're done.
No, they postponed again.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what's rough as well? Like seeing these people who have been working on such a game for such a long... I'm talking about Pagan Online right now because I've met the guys, and this was before I was part of Wargaming, and I'm still under NDAs for Pagan, of course, but this is something different. Like getting to know these people
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny fact. One of the sound designers was a guy who used to play in a band with me, and so I knew him for the longest time. And I didn't even know he's working on this project. But then I went to the studio. I was like, "What are you doing here?" and then knowing that this just crumbled, it's just heartbreaking. It's not even about the monetary part, because these things are done in a very careful way, of course, so that you make sure no one gets burned or whatever. But it's just the emotional investment that you make into creating characters, lore, world.
Yeah.
Artists doing amazing job. Like the art of Pagan Online is some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen, and it just like goes away. It just whoa, heartbreaking.
Speaking of something that's been in development a long time, how about that Star Citizen?
Man, am I hooked on these things? Huh?
So, what's got you into Star Citizen? Like, where does that start? Is that also branched out from StarCraft, or what happened there?
No. You would never guess.
Okay.
I was one of those people. Cam, I'm never giving them money. But I had a viewer who really liked some Star Citizen,
Uh-huh.
And you know how it goes with our communities. One day they show up and they're like, "Hey, look, here's a copy for you. Just try it,
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one. I don't want to go talk, because you can talk about Star. I used to have a podcast about Star Citizen. Hopefully, I'm going to continue with that at some point.
We'll link it in
and
the
that's how
description.
much I got hooked into it. But one thing is the first time in the verse, as they call it, is just you immediately go from scam to oh my god. And then the next thing you think of, because the attention to detail and just how they do things there, my goodness, it's like there's no other product like this. And so the first thing is like, okay, this is not a scam. The second thing you think of is like, oh my god, this will never be done. So, yeah, I've turned on the game. Day one, I couldn't find my ship. Day two, I found my ship and then couldn't find a way to get out of my hangar, because everything is real, man. You need to call, ATC to open the hangar for you, give you permission to fly out and whatnot. And then you just invest yourself, start learning things. It has this Eve-esque kind of sandbox learning curve that feels very rewarding. And the more you're playing, the more you understand, that keeps you in the game. It's very, very well done. But of course, it's like full of bugs and whatnot, and but yeah, Star Citizen, I still play it.
So for you had to play it in order to kind of be turn around.
Converted, no?
Would you say that that's a quality for the game in general, or have you seen people that have seen it and gone, I need to play this?
Oh, definitely. Like, especially people who never seen it or heard about it, and then they go to a stream and they're like, what is this? And then you tell them, it's Star Citizen. They're like, wait, isn't that a game that is a scam? And people don't understand how playable this thing is. But unfortunately, it's really not done. So when you see a streamer, the problem is like, we learn how to get around bugs, and it looks like so much better experience than what it is on your own. And the loops are not there. So goals are not there. You need makeshift goals, kind of. You need to first of all, I want to say something. Star Citizen is known for how expensive their ships are, like in real money, because you can buy a ship for like over 1,000 euros.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, a lot of people don't know, you can buy all this stuff in-game for in-game currency. Just, by the way, so you can pay $45 for their starter package, and then with this little ship, you can start making money in the game, and you can buy the most expensive ship that you can buy on the website. You can buy it in-game. So this is something that a lot of people don't know. They think you just pay money and That's it. Yeah, it just so it hits you. So first you're shocked with the detail and looks and everything, and then after a month or so, you realize that there's not enough meat on the bone. Unless, which is why we have it in this section, because I believe this is going to be the best ever role play game that was ever made,
and
apart none.
Talk us through why, because when you look at other role playing games out there, they have systems in play that are specifically meant to allow you to play a role. And then you have stuff like Eco, where you're not meant to play a role, but you do play a role, and you have Ivan with Secret Wheatfield, and so on. And so what is it about Star Citizen that will make it so good? Because you talked a bit about it in the editorial meeting. So what is it that will make this the next big thing for roleplay?
So let's first say something. Grumbles here, there are people like Grumbles who are literal magicians when it comes to roleplay. They can roleplay anything. And there's some games that were never meant to be roleplay games. And I'll be bold and say, like, it's not forbidden, but I don't think they were made with the idea. And I'll say that GTA was never a role play idea. Now it's one of the biggest role playing games. Yeah. And I'll connect this to Star Citizen. Red Dead was certainly not meant to be a role play game, but people like Grumbles, who are very creative and capable of creating this cozy feeling or just like an environment that does not exist within a game, which is almost you almost turn it into a sandbox. You just use the tools of the game to create your own world and whatnot. And then I don't think Eco was meant to be a role play.
No,
really,
it was literally a community and society simulator for teaching.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think most of the games tried it. Now, why some games succeed in this is because, well, I think there are two things. One is you get some huge streamer who is into role playing, trying it, seeing potential in it, and then they usually come with their community that is also open to role playing, so they have people around them. The other thing is because a game has the tools or ease of getting into it. So why I think GTA became such a big role play game, or even Red Dead, is because, like in GTA especially, you play a guy in a city that is trying to, make a fortune this or that way. And it allows you to do it in many ways, right? So you can play a character, but you can also just be yourself in that game. It's like the moment you start using VoIP, unless you do like some really stupid stuff. Like I've seen people use VoIP and just play like, mobile, like music next to the microphone or whatever, and dumb stuff. But it gives you this ease of access where you don't really necessarily have to be a character to role play in it. You can just role play yourself. And I think that's why it, like I watched some streams where people made huge, one of our, now ex-CCs is streaming on Trovo, and he has a whole police squadron, in GTA 5, and he's this helicopter guy who is like there. It's just insane what people do there. They create their own game. GTA is just a tool, right?
Yeah.
Now, to connect this to Star Citizen, Star Citizen is not really, but almost like a space sim, almost, where you play a human being in space, and you can do anything. Like you can literally go from like space station to space station, collect garbage, and take it to disposal. And everything is physicalized. So every button, everything you can press, you can click, and you see your character doing this. They have insane. It's VoIP FOIP. I think it's called FOIP, where the camera can pick up your facial expressions. And you can find videos on YouTube where people recroll with character from Star Citizen, and they just like open their mouth, and you have this song in the background, and it looks really good. But also what they did, which is amazing, when you put your helmet on and you're in a party with someone else, you get this radio noise, which makes sure that your voice is coming out amazingly good. So the biggest problem is, I remember started playing Fallout 76, and everyone had by default their microphones on, and I start playing, and there's this mother yelling at her son, and I'm like, okay, so this is Fallout. That's a big of a problem. And I'm streaming, and I'm like, oh God,
yeah,
not good. And then she slaps him, and I'm like, oh Jesus, where do I turn this off? Right. And also, like, what's really a game breaker for RPing is very low quality microphones, right? That pick up everything, or your voice sounds so still. Not everyone is a streamer, right? We don't have to have these like really high quality mics and whatnot.
Well, it's about immersion, isn't it? And those things just break immersion instantly.
Exactly. So these guys were so smart that they add the filter into it that makes, like the radio voice, like whatever. This is built in and you can't escape it. So even if you have shitty microphone, it sounds dope. It's like, it pumps you up. It's like it's you and your friend in space, which allows people to start using it more frequently because it's just good. And then...
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
No, I was just thinking, you mentioned this whole face tracking part of it, and I recently saw, I think it was a YouTube short, or TikTok or Instagram, somewhere where it was just a quick video where somebody, like, it was in Star Citizen, and they were talking about something, and suddenly you have this one guy who says, "Hey, by the way, your face thing is working." And you see the other guy's expression kind of, "Oh, really?" You see it instantly that it realized, and then suddenly there's all these faces, and there's dancing, and there's fun. I'm like, okay, no, I can. And as soon as you kind of tied it into that, I can see how this is a great tool for RP, because having it available, as opposed to having to install some third-party mod or such,
it also does some things for, like, to log out in Star Citizen on your ship, you have to go to bed and then click log out. It's like, even these little things didn't do it for RP. They did it because your spawn point then becomes that bed when you come back into the game. But even this is something that is such a good thing. You have to do it anyways, right? It's
like what I do, where you don't need to do that in Red Dead, but I go to a room somewhere because it's just the way I want to do it, because you want to be immersed in that world. And it's all, like you were saying before, you've got to create or bring that nuance with you, because if a game's environment doesn't, it's got the basics there, but it doesn't bring that rest of that world with it. Well, as you were talking about the GTA examples before. So it's what the creative minds collectively then bring in, and how you interpret all those things, right? So little things like facial expressions or a gesture, leaning, how much better a scene is in Red Dead if somebody just leans on the bar while they're chatting, rather than everyone just standing there with their arms at their side.
Or learning to use the ragdoll perfectly.
You have all this, like also clothing already for inside, outside. Your voice coming differently from with helmet, out of the helmet, and then you can use all these gestures already, where dancing, pointing. They have all that already implemented. The game is nowhere near coming out. And then community is crazy. So the Star Citizen doesn't have content, which means community has to create content. To be fair, more and more content is coming to the game already. But when I started, there was nothing. So what they did, because you have spaceships, you have on foot content, you can land anywhere on any planet. And you have like vehicles like hover bikes and stuff like that, but you also have like buggies and, like wheeled vehicles like cars, whatever. So I don't know if you guys know what Dakar Rally is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a moon next to one of the planets that is called Daymar, and it's a sand moon. It's like a desert moon. So So there's a thing that is called Daymar Rally. It's been running for many years now. They even added this into the lore of the game itself because the lore is huge. This is community-created event that is literally Dakar Rally. It lasts for the entire day. Now that's crazy on its own, but we talked before the Discord. Oh my God! Before we started the podcast, we talked about Meyer, and Meyer is a fellow streamer and really good. He's a voice actor and really good role player. So they have this yacht club where owners of clubs, of teams, go together and fly over the rally while they're having, champagne on this huge space yacht.
Yeah.
And you have to get an invitation, and they stream this.
Yeah.
This is insane. So you have low flying lunatics that are so good with flying that they're like reporters, and you can watch their streams with commentary and everything. They have the mainstream that is done in cooperation with Star Citizen or CIG, which is the company that makes it, and the big streamers. And then you have Meyer and other guys who are these rich, fancy dressed people on a yacht, streaming from there, betting and talking about who's gonna win, and it's just insane. And the game is nowhere near done. Okay, look.
This was the part of the podcast that I was the most afraid of.
Why?
It's too early. I'll tell you right now. But I mean, because the game can just break and you can get kicked out of the server and the server can crash. And look, I'll be the first person to poke you because I want to watch you do this. The moment it's good enough.
I can just see Robert F. Lawless, the 73rd, up in space, being very drunk.
I'm going to tell you, look up some things because you're going to be mind blown.
Yeah, this is because while you've been talking about it, I've been looking at some of the screenshots and in-game art, and I'm just like, how do I not already have an existence in this world?
And honestly, I can also see you and me, Grumbles, doing a trash run together. And
you can be
we're from
or you can be cups
Brooklyn.
or rubbers or whatever,
but we're from Brooklyn. We drive the trash around the place. We gotta do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Why the fuck you taking that route, eh? Why the fuck you taking that route? We've been taking that route forever. We gotta go back. We gotta, it's that third thing.
Yeah.
Endless possibilities and insane immersion like you've never seen in any other game. Now, will it ever come out or not? Look, I'm a backer. I want it to come out. Do I believe in it coming out? I would lie if I said I do. I would lie if I said I don't.
I appreciate the honesty.
Look. I'm not a salesman, okay?
No, but speaking of honesty, we have some questions and comments from the community.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Some of these are probably going to be quick. Some of these might be longer. Who knows? But let's find out. First, there's a comment on the last episode from Reckless Rat saying, I really enjoy these. It's like two friends sat in armchairs in front of an open fire, each with their favorite drink, just discussing the world. I look forward to many more. And honestly, that made me smile a lot. And kind of as a throwback to a comment you, Cheg, made a bit earlier about the whole escape from reality and such, this is why I do this. These sorts of feedbacks, knowing that I've made somebody kind of imagine a different place and escape out of it for just a tiny bit, and that's why I do this.
I agree, but I have a short comment on this.
Okay.
I just started streaming, right? So maybe 3 months in, I have my 20 people watching, 30 tops. And this guy shows up in the stream from Serbia, bigger streamer. And in my stream, he says, look, man, I've been watching your stream for 3 days and I really want to host you. But I don't know if you can take it. But also, I just feel like, so this was meant as a bad thing, You come there, I'm sitting in a room with you. It's like, there's no action, there's no, like, and I look at it and I say, oh, thank you. This is literally what I want people to feel like.
Yeah.
Come to my cozy place and chill with me. And you don't have to raid me if you ask for it. Like, I don't care. You do it if you like it. I don't need your boost. But these are the moments where you feel really good, because I know you guys are aiming for this. And I agree with Reckless Rat 100%. And someone just saying something like this, hits home. I know. And I agree with them. That's awesome.
And now we're going to go on to another long-term tradition that Grumbles is very familiar with. Butchering names.
Let's
go. I know what you mean.
I do it too, but you do it on purpose with ships, at least.
Let's not talk about Alsace. Hopefully we don't have any French listeners.
Well, is that new content under NDA? Is that why?
I knew it. Oh,
I had to bring it up.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. I'm just afraid of all the South American ships coming out now, and I just know there's gonna be many a moment of grumbles for me.
I love it though.
I don't know what you're talking about. I saw one today called the Dachshund.
Yeah, there you go.
My God.
Yeah, there you go. And I know I shouldn't be feeding this, but there is at least gonna be one spaghetti bolognese from you.
True.
Yep. Yeah. At least once. At least once. But the name we're gonna be butchering here is Zhateiler. Zhateiler?
Should we all give it a shot?
Sure. Zhateiler is mine.
It could be Zhateiler.
Oh, that's true. And then we have Grumbles, who's known this person the longest.
Yep, I've role played with them, played games with them, and a long-standing member of the community, and I like to refer to them as Zhateiler, which is not at all how it's spelled and probably not how it's pronounced, but
please,
I'm good with that. That's fine.
Please educate us, no matter how it's said. They had a wonderful anecdote underlining this question that they have. And the question was, do you remember a moment where instead of a mistake, you did something exactly the right way and you could smile about it from time to time? The first they mentioned this through a little anecdote where something was happening as a freshman, and it involved champagne and somebody trying to be a tiny bit malicious with this champagne cork, but instead ended up being a perfect, I'm going to snatch that champagne cork out of the air like it's nothing. And that brings them a smile. And I do like those moments. But I'm sad to say,
it's a very chill one, yeah.
I don't have that. Because I always have these moments of, yeah, I screwed that up in that way and this way and so on. Just like he prefaced in his question. I get stuck on those because in my brain, and I think, or that is, I've learned over the last year of trying to figure out stuff about my ADHD, it has to do with that. I get stuck on the bad things, and as thus I don't notice when I do something good, because then I just assume that this is how things are supposed to be. This is the normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sadly, I don't have any of those. I know times I've gone ahead and done something extraordinary and I'm proud of those, but not one of those just right moments. Sadly. And I know the story from Cheg is going to be a bit special, so I want to ask Grumbles first. Do you have one of these moments?
Have you watched what I do?
Yeah.
This is like the anti-question for me. This is like, just shut up, don't say anything. I even have an imprinted like emotional reaction memory of something in a recent session where I don't even remember what game it was or anything, but I remember doing a thing and it was correct, and I was so excited because I was like, I actually did that first try. And that's, I'm so not used to that. I haven't even, it sounds like the wrong way around, but I don't even remember what it was. I just have this distinct memory of I did one thing correctly once.
You know what?
That's
Isn't it
how
amazing?
often I'm doing the opposite.
You know what you should do? You should do the same thing, or I should honestly do this too. Hello, it's Colo has a first try emote. And whenever she nails something,
Oh, yes.
she does it sarcastically too, by all means, but whenever she nails something, first try, it's suddenly spammed in chat. And if I saw that wall of first try, I would probably start remembering some of these too, but yeah.
Look, I only use this phrase when it's like 20th time. You know, like there's no other way.
Well, I went through a phase where I was saying first try. I still do it from time to time, but I like really latched onto it for a short while, and it was like first try when it was always not. It was always like the third or the fifth go or whatever, right? And it got to the point where I started like weaning myself back off it. Like, okay, this was funny. Now it's not funny if you overuse it. Let go. And then chat started picking up onto it, and people were throwing stuff in there all the time. I'd make a mistake or fall off a wall for the third time in a row, and you'd look over and you'd just see in chat, not an emote, but you just see like another first try.
Nailed
Well
it.
done, Grumbles.
Nailed it, yeah.
Yeah, nailed it. Exactly.
But honestly, as streamers, it's those moments we do need to kind of hug and just embrace. Like
It's so good.
pulling a tiger.
You gotta be able
know,
to take it.
Yeah, like pulling a tiger is its own thing for a reason. And I've embraced it. But hey, how about we use this opportunity of pulling a Cheg? Can we do that? Is that sounds dirty?
I mean, I wish.
Yeah.
And I'll try to make it short because it's actually a huge story, and I actually used to hide it for the longest time. And then I remember a few years ago, I told it to my father because I couldn't explain to him. There are some tricky situations that I've been to living on board ships for a long time. There was like a hurricane that we were in for 2 days. It was one of the biggest, Matthew, in 2000, I think, 15, 16.
Oh, shit.
Where we had to like stop in New York and repair all the glass on the ship and whatnot. I had a couple of fires. I had a bomb on the pier. Like it actually ended up being a bomb. We had this whole like SWAT team with a bell, you know, and in helicopters, and you know. But these moments, when they're done, these are the best moments, you know, like because it's such a bomb of experience, and it teaches you something about yourself. Sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. So this one I'm proud of, but it could have gone so wrong. But I feel like I grew up 5 years in the span of probably like 15 minutes, which felt like a day probably. So we were off the coast of Mexico, far enough to not see the land, and unfortunately laundry, which is at the bottom of the same level, like underwater as engines are and all that, caught on fire. And an unfortunate thing was that on this ship that I shall not name, the ventilation was connected to the laundry. So it pulled the smoke, and smoke kills. It's usually not the fire. You don't really get burned. You suffocate. That's what happens. And in a tin, like these ships, for those who don't know, we're talking like 4,000 or 5,000 people on board, like guests and crew. So it's a huge thing, right? And smoke spreads very, very, very fast. So the ventilation system pulled the smoke from it and started filling up the stateroom. So basically like hotel rooms on board. And half of the ship was in smoke. 14 decks. At the time, I was in the photo gallery. I was a photo gallery manager. And so basically, even the center of the ship was filling with smoke, and we already have this whole routine starting of, you know, filling the life, you know, sending people towards their master station to start filling the life boats and life rafts and whatnot. And then, but I wanted stores and shops to keep working. You want to do whatever you can to calm people down.
Yeah.
Because
life is normal.
Well, you don't want to lie to them, but you want to show that you're chilling because you have a plan. Because if chaos starts, it's very, very scary and dangerous. Like I can't even explain this because you're locked in, And if you allow, like we all go through crowd control training and all that stuff, because if it breaks loose, it's every man for himself. And you don't want that.
Yeah.
So stores are working, and people coming to me and they're like, "Oh, we've heard, the keywords. What does it mean?" And I'm like, okay. Like, look around you. There's so much smoke. Obviously, you're on fire. But it's fine. Like the ships don't sink immediately and whatnot. We have a plan and yada yada. And then this woman runs out of the corridor, looks around, realizes something happened, starts running back into the corridor filled with smoke. And the security stops her because they only let people come out because there's so much smoke. Chances are you're not going to survive. And she starts yelling, and I realize what's going on. Her child is still in the stateroom. Now, mind it, this sounds crazier than it is. Smoke is still not like all the way from top to bottom because it takes time, and usually the high, smoke is like fire smoke is basically higher, and then it like starts feeling lower. So, and we know that like we have these drills and everything. So when I've heard there's a child in there, it just kicked in, and I just ran through because I had seniority. I could like go through. They had to let me through. And luckily, these guys know everyone who works on the ships. Like it's usually a really tight team, and even though there's like 1,000+ people, you still you know each other. And so they immediately, when I ran in, they started the whole thing of like sending someone for me and whatnot. And so I ran. It was not that far, but you can't really see. You have to crawl, kind of open the door. A kid is there playing with some toys on the ground. Luckily, like nothing happened really.
Oh wow!
But it's a scary situation. Child doesn't know. We're talking like 2-year-old or whatever. And I take this kid and I start going out. Now the smoke in the room was coming really like down. The doors are already like kind of. It's a scary thing. Or you open the doors, you don't know what's on the other side and whatnot. But luckily, the guys from the fire team already came close to the room. And there's such good equipment on these ships, luckily, where they have a fire hose that creates a water bubble around you, which basically creates oxygen within the bubble. So you can go through smoke, because smoke is a problem. Usually you don't see the open fire anyways. And they pick me. So there's 2 guys. It's always 2 guys doing this together. And then you have enough space in the corridor for like 2 or 3 more people to like, go together outside of the smoke. And so I'm so happy I did it, but it was stupid because we could have lost 2 lives. Like this is like in these situations, it's really stupid to do something like that. But at the same time, how can you not? And so what shocked me, I brought this child back to her mother, and I don't know why, but in my mind, I expected her to thank me and hug me. Maybe now from this perspective, this sounds stupid, but that's it's just like my inner expectation. Not like I need this. It's more of like, you expect things to happen. That's how our brain works. It anticipates a couple of minutes ahead always, right? And she grabs this kid from my hands and runs away to her master station or whatever, Yeah. And I was so shocked. I was like, what the hell? Then it hits me like, oh my God, this is a mother that almost lost a child. She doesn't care about what happened. She just needs her child back. And it's actually a normal reaction. Like so after that, you have to go and talk to, ships psychiatrists, and like this a whole HR thing and everything, because they need to, and also you get slapped on the wrist because this is not what you do. You're not allowed to do these things. You get a warning and blah, blah, blah. But it had happy ending, and we met later. She thanked me later, and and the ship was fine. The crazy Filipino fire squad made it down to the laundry and extinguished the fire. We were a day and a half full of smoke, but the system managed to pump the smoke out, and we didn't even need a dry dock. We were just down the laundry. So it had happy ending. We were already having people in some lifeboats, but they were not lowered because this is actually a little bit of a dangerous move. You don't want to do it if you don't have to. And everyone went back, and we even continued with the cruise. So it like the whole cruise itself, happy ending and everything. I did a little bit of a crazy thing, and I never did it before or after, like, But yeah, when I think about it, I made a mistake that saved a life, and I'm absolutely proud of it. Like I don't, it's all that matters in the end. And we don't get this opportunity often. Most of the people never get the opportunity to save a life. And if you use it, if you see it and use it, it just is something that I'm going to carry for the rest of my life and feel good about it.
Fight or flight is a weird thing when it kicks in. And
this is the thing. Every situation like this makes you learn a thing about yourself. And sometimes you're very bad at these crazy situations, and sometimes you're really good at it.
That's the thing. Like you don't really know that it's happened until it actually kicks in. Because
you have no clue what you're doing.
You can train for it all you want, but once that fight or flight instinct kicks in, that's when you know how you react. And that's weird. And right now,
it's crazy.
You have a fight instinct, and that was important.
I don't know if I have it anymore.
Well, she had a flight instinct, and it usually is with people their entire life.
So the story actually is she did not come out from her room. So she did not forget her child. She ran out to see what's happening and to ask for help. But she came from like the other side of the corridor or whatever. Like she was not in the room, went out, forgot her child. Just to clarify this. And then they didn't let her back in because it was too dangerous for her. And they just didn't let her. So they were like, "We'll call security. They're gonna go and pick the child." I was like, "Do we have time for this?" You know what I mean? No. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes half an hour. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't wanna throw shade at this mother that went through such trauma.
No, it's good that you clarified that.
But just that moment is likely when her fight or flight kicked in, because that's when she's in a shit. Well, my kid, I gotta have my kid, and that's when that will.
Oh, you mean that? Yes. And I think that's normal nowadays. I think this was the right reaction. Just take your kid, and fuck, like the rest doesn't matter really at that moment. Yeah, it's fine.
So yeah. No, that was definitely something you can rightly smile about. I honestly think so. We're going to go into a bit of a quick fire situation here. We're not going to delve down too much into these questions. What is Cheg's favorite pastry in Prague and why? This is from Maringana,
I know who this comes from, of course. It's actually originally Hungarian food, and I've had it in Prague first many years ago. It's called trdelník.
Okay.
It's basically like flour on a stick that they roll around on like fire, kind of, and then they fill the inside with like Nutella or something. So it's like a cylindrical like sweet pastry which they can fill with something. And it's a street food that you just can find anywhere here. It's relatively cheap as well. And I owe Mari one, but she owes me, travel to Prague. I can fulfill,
Grumbles, we're going to Prague. I need this in my life.
It's very tasty. And I always make people to eat one without any filling because the pastry itself is very tasty. Maybe like vanilla sugar or something, but something, just nothing heavy. And then the next one you can eat any way you want. But yeah.
The next question from her is going to tie into a bit from Jirek. Mari has asked, compared to a year ago, would you say that the community has become less acidic on the Warships Official channel? And Jirek has asked, has becoming part of the World Warships community changed your perspective on the community? He has a two-part question there. We'll touch on the other one when we get to it. Like, have you seen a change over the last year?
Yeah, I would start with Jurg because I was, when you're a viewer and a player of the game, you choose communities you're part of, right? So, I was in your guys' streams, in Grumpy's stream, in, Foaming Jetty stream, in Mari's stream. These are very, very tame, friendly, not streamers, but communities that build around them for a good reason, right? So you come in and say, "Hey, what's up, guys? How are you doing?" Someone's going to, "Hey, Cheg, what's up?" Very, very friendly, because any game can have toxic and not toxic community, right? So it's like, and it happens for so many reasons. Sometimes it's just what streamer wants to have, or what they're brewing on their channel, and sometimes some games are like, our game is PvP, right? So it makes sense that there's some of this happening around.
Yeah.
So obviously coming to work here and sitting in front of thousands of people on Thursdays in front of the game, you experience both sides.
Get rid of subs. Get rid of CVs.
Yeah. Or you said this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You said subs would never be part of it. Oh.
So here's the thing. My answer to Mari's question is I don't know. This would have to be like a personal take, but I have to say that I've learned more about. It's easier to talk bad about the product publicly nowadays. I think this is like not World of Warships. I think this is just like general thing.
Yeah.
Than good about the and I'll give you an example and hot take. But I know that some people are scared to talk good about submarines because sometimes someone tries and they get shut on, or people think they're joking. So it's very difficult to like what community like doesn't like in chat, right? And I'll get it's silly, but I would get whispers like DMs on Discord, like, hey, there are some of us who actually like it. I'm like, I know, don't worry about it, it's fine. So it's like right now it's submarines, right? But it can be whatever,
CV rework.
Exactly, yeah.
And so on and so forth.
But I'll tell you, like across all the ways of communication, there is what I really see, especially. So I'm also working with a lot of CCs, as you guys know. I see more, or potential CCs, or people who are trying to get there or whatnot. I see a lot of passion. It's like actually insane, and a lot of these hot takes and even slightly like maybe toxic takes and whatnot. Most of it comes from passion, really. If you don't care about the product, you just don't, you just don't say anything, whatever. If you do, then you feel hurt when something doesn't go the way you want it, because you're afraid to lose something that you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking broadly. I'm not talking because I am caught in these situations because I don't play only World of Warships. Myself, right? Especially like there you go. Like Star Citizen has weekly updates and video content, and sometimes I'm like, fuck, why don't you do this? And we all have this armchair developer in ourselves, So you learn to take all of it as feedback, and you get to a point where this is especially difficult for like new community managers and even myself, even though I was streaming for a while, but to channel this into like not taking these things personally, but rather really as feedback, but taking it with a little bit of like a grain of salt, because not there is definitely this flow of where like if something becomes a thing, and we have some very powerful streamers on both ends where with big communities that agree with them. That's why they are their communities, right? So they agree with their takes, and so they can sway a little bit of my chat experience, on World of Warships channel itself. So I'll tell you, I watched so many videos, including those that people would think I wouldn't. Maybe like I'll say some names like Flamu, Flambas, Gibbons, just as much as folks who are completely on the other end, or some that we work with like Zat and Raptor or you guys, or Grumbling, or it's completely different experience. But this helps me understand where it comes from, why I'm going to get some questions. It helps me prepare myself mentally for what's going to jump at me from the chat. And but I think most of it comes from passion. So
you're saying, as a community manager for Wargaming, you're doing your job about staying in contact with the community? Huh, who would have thought it? Who would have
We all
thought
know
it
that's a lie,
that
right?
somebody that has a passion for the game would do something like that? Huh. Strange. Speaking of passions, any travel plans this coming year, ask Mari?
Is this for all of us?
No, it's for you.
Oh, this is only for me?
Yeah.
Look, this will sound crazy. No, first of all, no. Maybe back home. Every now and again, I can go back to Serbia to visit my family and whatnot. But I kind of want to save up money to take my family on a cruise. It's been a long time a wish of mine because they never understood why I'm so crazy about these ships when you work like crazy and you don't make that much money and whatnot. So I think I don't think they're, or even like I am not the person to go on a cruise. I like working there, but I would never take it for myself. I think there are better ways to travel the world. But if they come to cruise with me and I can spend like 7 days of explaining things with the inside knowledge, I think this can be a great experience for them and for me. I kind of want to say goodbye to the ships, but these things are very expensive.
Yeah.
You gotta save a lot of, and then traveling because my family's from Serbia, so my mother has Serbian Croatian passport, so for her it would be easier, but for my sister and my father, they have Serbian passports, so you need visas for every port of call, and it's like really difficult. But I don't think it's gonna happen this year, but this is my only plan right now.
Speaking of things that is not going to happen this year, I will not be going to TwitchCon. Will you?
No.
Neither in a professional nor in a.
So professional, no. I know we don't have plans for this as of right now. Like I don't see that happening, at least not this year. But I know that. So the question is TwitchCon, GamesCon. The answer is no. For me personally, I always wanted to, and then something happened to me. I was part of as a streamer of a CC program with Bethesda for Elder Scrolls Online, and they still have an amazing community team. Shout out to Gina Bruno. I think she's a head of community management team. Beautiful, beautiful person. She's an inspiration for sure. And they had a CC program, and they invited us to go to States. I think it was in Miami or I don't know, or LA probably. And they organized flight tickets. Oh, sorry, no. My community gathered money for the flight tickets, but they organized everything else, like the hotel, official invitation as partner. And I was already a Twitch partner and everything. And then I went to embassy in Belgrade to get the visa, which I already had several visas for NA because of the ships and whatnot. And I got denied. So you pay quite a chunk of money, and then they just tell you, yeah, but you might stay there. And I'm like, come on. Because I'm not married or whatever, like stuff like this. And this like completely broke me mentally when it comes to, because people get money for me to, to get there. And it just felt so bad, and I felt like I've betrayed everyone, and this left a sour taste in my mouth. The only reason I would go to TwitchCon is because this is the last achievement I don't have as a Twitch streamer, which I don't even I barely ever stream. But this is the one that I don't have. But not enough to make me go.
I looked at I looked at flight prices from my place here up in northern Norway. And flights alone are going to cost me over 1,000 euros for TwitchCon.
Wait, it's in Paris, no?
Yeah.
So you fly somewhere else. You don't fly to Paris, and then you go by bus.
No. There are reasons why.
No, I know
so
there must be a direct flight, at least from Gardermoen. But what I'm saying is, instead of paying this much, you go to some other city and then go by train or bus.
I could look into it, but then there's the stay, there's the food, and then there's the ticket itself, and where they're having the venue. I don't think I'll be going. It's smack bang in the
this
middle
works
of
if
Paris.
You have someone who have an apartment there and is willing to share, and that's the only way.
Yeah, I'm hoping for TwitchCon in Stockholm one year. I think that would be a cool city. But
it makes sense to have it there. So.
Yeah. Or or in the Grumbles cave.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to clear a few of the bats out, but sure.
Mari,
But it's all about meeting community more than anything else. Like that was always my reason to go, to see some, connect with some viewers and streamers, and that's it.
That's part of why I want to go too. I want to meet other CCs. I want to meet other Twitch partners that I interact with, and I want to meet part of the community.
Yeah, I see that.
Speaking of communities, Mari, being her exuberant self and wanting more female representation in the game, is super happy about the Statue of Liberty captain, and she wonders who spoke the lines for the captain.
So luckily I can share this because Bogsy is sharing it himself. He's proud of it. And I got to meet the person who did. I'm not going to go with any names or anything, but this is Bogsy's fiancé. Maybe wife by now. I don't know if they actually got married. But an amazing person. She was actually here during last COTS. We got to meet her. I think she did a great job when it comes to the voice lines. They're very inspiring and very strong. So for those of you who don't know, Bogsy is our community manager for the North American region. So in the Texas office, and it's his fiancée.
Isn't she a voice actor?
They're both into acting. Yeah. But I don't know 100% if she is. But I know they're both in that business.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think she did really good.
And it is cool. It is cool. I just want to point out, I'm kind of sad that nobody contacted me about the Viking captain. I just gonna be a bit disappointed. No, not really. Not really.
I'm not gonna like if Seraphis ever listens to this, he will frown upon my comments. But I'm huge into. I love Norway, and I love how I love Norwegian English accent. And I enjoyed listening to that while I was up there. I don't know. Like the commander is amazing. The skin for COTS is amazing, but I kind of wish we could maybe do better. But on about Mari and female representatives, which is kind of funny because I watch Mari stream and I know she's always asking for male captains.
Male anime captain.
Yes.
That's the fan service she wants there, but she wants real female captains. So yeah.
Which we actually have some, and I told her, and she was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even know." But now she knows.
Yeah, no, she's super stoked about that.
Yeah, but there's another. You guys know already. Now I'm not like 100% sure if this is still under NDA. I think it might be. You guys might know better than me at this point because I'm so I'm so much into creating the COTS streamer stuff and whatnot for the upcoming COTS. But we are having. I'll say that much. Like we are having another voiced female character coming out, and
very cool.
I think this will be my favorite.
Very cool.
Nice.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Cool.
And we're gonna speak a tiny bit more about ships. Another quick question here from Mara Zilwicki, one of my mods. He asks, "What is your favorite ship?"
I have two ships with steel camo.
Mm-hmm.
One is Montana, and that's my first tier 10. And I still, to this day, really, this was my biggest struggle because I've sold this ship like 10 times and rebought. Because, you know how it is in ships. You play a game, Montana deletes you because you show broadside when you're like brand new player potato or whatever. And then you're like, okay, I have this ship. I'm going to buy it again. I'm going to delete someone. And then you get deleted in Montana, and you're like, how? Because the learning curve, right? And showing you don't want to show under your skirt with Montana. So, but as the time went, and I've gathered about some 10,000 plus games in this game. I've learned how to use Montana, and I think the reason I love playing that ship so much is because like now if I play a new battleship, I know what to do. But this ship actually helped me learn about angling, about broadside salvos, about so many things. Like Moskva and Montana taught me how to play the game.
Cool.
I've learned through them. Sorry. And the other steel camera that I have is a meme. I have a steel Baleo, which is tier 10 American submarine with the Kappa Commander on it. And look, I went into the shop and spent my hard-earned steel because another CC of ours ended the Cupid. Well, it wasn't his idea, of course. But I often go around Twitch on World of Warships account and poke CCs and non-CCs as well, just to have a little bit of fun. I love that aspect of, being in a position that I am. And the Cupid community challenged me to do something like this because they know I kind of like submarines. I really do. And they were like, okay, how about you do that? And I was like, you think I wouldn't? And, there was a little bit of a back and forth. And then I did it live on stream in front of many, many thousands of people.
Nice.
Grumbles, I'm not sure we can release this episode.
No, well, I think it's over.
I think it's still the only steel Baleo.
I mean, fair enough. I can understand it. I can.
Well,
look, it was more of a meme. I don't think I would have done
I'm
it.
hearing Steel Baleo, but to the music of the song, like Bambaleo or whatever.
Steel Baleo.
You know what? We used to call it Balao.
Yeah.
And then we had someone who actually served in NA like Navy in a submarine, not that one, but they told us like this it's ballet, you're mispronouncing it, and yeah, I pick up when I know I made a mistake. So
Well, there you go, back to Alsace again, full circle.
Oh, God,
I'm sure you're never going to call it properly. So
no,
I think I'm trying to help you to learn it. Alsace.
Oh, with the song.
It's not that difficult, Cheg.
No. Well, yeah.
I did actually. We actually have him on record saying Alsace, and we also have him on record pronouncing French ships correctly. Cherbourg, being one of them. I tried tricking him. I tried tricking him. I was like, "Hey, Grumbles, how do you pronounce this?" And he was like, and then he pronounced it. I was like, yes, that's correct. I was like, damn it.
Did you record it?
Yep.
Because I was smart about this. I recorded him saying for JJ, and it's still, clip in his channel.
It is one of those things.
I knew there was a reason we should have cancelled this episode. Now I remember.
Moving swiftly along. Jurek has a question for you. Actually, two questions. First, of all the places Cheg, all the places Cheg has visited, where would he go again?
Can I have like 3 places?
Okay
then. They're on completely different sides of the world. The first one being Tauranga, a place, small place in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Google it; it looks amazing. I would go there, and if someone offered any kind of job that I can live there, I would leave. I would abandon everything I have and just go there because I just feel so serious, like this serene feeling being there for me. I've been there only a couple of times, but I love it. Then
listening. Maybe Peter Jackson's listening.
Oh,
wants to hire you as a professional.
There you
go. Then the other one is Halifax in Canada, Nova Scotia. I don't know. I've been there so many times. They have the best poutine in the world. For those who don't know, it's food. Okay, just to clarify. But it's also like hugely important historical port for more like cruise ships and ocean liners than anything, because there's a Titanic cemetery there, and also there's one of the first Cunard places and whatnot. But also it recovered from a huge explosion. As you can look it up, and just seeing how that place recovered from everything, and it's just super. People are just super nice there. I just really enjoy it every time I go. And then Oslo, because the first time I stepped out from the ship in Oslo, I went to a nearby how do you call that? There's a church there with rings like some kind of song
Yeah. No,
every hour, like
it's
near the port.
It's the town hall, city hall.
It's a town hall. Sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I sat like nearby. There's like a square, and I was sitting there for like an hour. It's something I do. Like when I went to New York, also like I sat, in Times Square for 2 hours just to like listen to the sound of the city, feel the atmosphere. It's something I really like doing. And when I did this in Oslo, it just felt like home. And I was lucky enough to later on live in Norway and Oslo and its surroundings. Just yes, definitely.
We gotta get you further north. Which brings us on to the next question.
Man, I've been like one of the most magical places, like Geiranger Fjord, and yeah,
it's not
Norway.
far enough. It's not far enough
not
north.
that far, but
it's not far enough north, man. Well, okay, now we're talking. But of all the places you haven't been, where do you want to visit?
It's gonna be very unpopular because of the current geopolitical situation, and the reason I want to visit this place has nothing to do with the history, politics, even the country itself. I just want to clarify that. There's a place very near Norway, which is called Murmansk, and I really want to go there because it's just insane how many ships are there, including some of the most powerful ships ever, which are these nuclear icebreakers.
Yeah.
Funny, I work for World Warships, but I'm more excited. Like I just love ships in general, but I'm actually a pacifist. But I love these like insanely powerful machines that it's just insane. And so many ships come and go from that place. It's amazing. I also play GeoGuessr a lot, which is what if I ever turn on my stream, which is like once per month, if even that much, I play GeoGuessr a lot. I love going around the world. And I found a couple of places there, out of which there's one in Africa called Lesotho. It's a very, very small country within South Africa itself. And it just looks unreal. Wherever you drop, it just looks... It's mind-blowing. So I'd really like to.
So Murmansk and Lesotho, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then he of course asked, has becoming a part of the World of Warships community changed your perspective on the game itself?
100%. From so many aspects. So I played World of Warships religiously before I came here. It was my escape from reality for the longest time. When I relax, I just like the water physics, and I miss ships, and so this helps. And but just like everyone else, you like some decisions and you don't like some other decisions, and you get annoyed by certain things and whatnot. Coming here, I honestly, I want to make sure that people understand, like, I don't think this is World of Warships. I think this is any big game studio. When you come into an environment where everyone that works on a product is so passionate about it, and how much they invest themselves into it, makes it super easy for you to do the same. Especially if you loved and known the product from before. And all of a sudden, these issues around the game become kind of more tolerable, like your personal issues, so to say, where you start understanding that this comes from a completely, different perspective. And sometimes we often see things like, this game studio is doing it because of this or that reason, and then it becomes a whole story around it and everything. But in reality, someone just tries to make something that makes sense to them, and then it goes through so many processes, and from one side might make sense, and then when it comes out it might not make as much sense, and then you try to patch it if you can or whatnot. But you just see like the passion flows, and how much people care about each other and the product itself. You can't stay the same. Like you're immediately biased.
Yeah.
So whether this is good or bad, I loved the game always. I was so hyped about becoming part of it because I just can't imagine my life without logging into ships. for like 4 years now. But now it is definitely different.
Interesting. Super quick fire round on 3 questions we've asked all our guests so far. Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
It's kind of crazy. It would probably be someone from like the sports world.
Yeah.
I love basketball. I mean, I love sports in general, and I'd like to pick a brain of someone super exposed. I don't know, like maybe Dennis Rodman, someone who has reached crazy heights in their profession, but was, remembered for quite different things. But when you look at the numbers, they're absolute Hall of Fame, and they were so dedicated to the sport, apart from doing crazy stuff around it. And to just have like an hour to eat and talk to this person and pick their brains about things that just, do you remember how we started? And I was talking about like how people want to, help you out, this, that, talk about, usually you talk about things that everyone's interested in, but I would just like to have a conversation with this person about absolutely random stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that would, because I know the other side. You watch YouTube, you watch Netflix, you watch this, you watch that, and you kind of know this side. I want to know like the other, just how these people are when they're not under the spotlight.
A peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
I used to be very fit, playing sports and working on ships, and then with my mental health issues, I became I didn't care anymore, and I've gained a lot of weight, and I just miss being super active. I used to cycle a lot. I used to jog every day around the lake back home, and I don't want to say I want to be fit again. I want to say I want this part to ignite again, where I really enjoy physical activity.
Ooh, interesting. Most people would probably go for some sort of superpower. I like it.
Well, no, but this made me happy, and that's like the best power you can have.
I'm with you there. And kind of on the same topic, is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a long time? And in that case, why haven't you just done it?
When I was a kid, when I would not be able to fall asleep, my father likes sports as well. And there's a lot of Formula One fans in this office. I think it's like the younger generations came into it through Netflix Drive to Survive. But for me, it started way back. I watched my father cry because of Niki Lauda and, stuff like that. And I remember watching races with him, but I never understood it. I was too little. And then when I would go to sleep, if I can't fall asleep, I would imagine myself in a car, like driving around the track that I know. And after enough repetition, it would make me fall asleep. It would relax me. Why I never did it? Because I actually used to race a little bit with, in close circles. I had a really powerful car, very cheap but powerful. It was Audi Quattro, the one from the B class rally. But the regular version, not. But even the regular version of this is insane. Just saying. So we used and I love Yugo, which is a Serbian car. It was very simple and crappy, but you can feel the speed in it, even if there's none. Like at 50, you feel like you're going 300 because it feels like it's going to break apart. And then we did silly things like racing backwards, like in reverse and whatnot. And it's just silly. Friends having good time, always in a safe environment and everything. I would never, I take myself as a really good and responsible driver. I even used to drive for DHL because I just love driving. So why I never did it? Because I immediately knew, because my father had kind of tried getting into rallying when he was young, and I know how expensive this is, and it never. Yeah, I just love. I don't know. It was never a thing for me. Like I knew I could never actually do it for real.
So for anybody listening, track day would be a good gift for Cheg in any sort of.
That would be crazy.
There you
Actually, speaking of traveling, see, I forgot about that. A couple of us are going to Austria to watch Formula One.
Ooh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already been to Formula One once in Melbourne. And the other guys, I think, I'm not going to go with names because I don't want to out people, but one of them went to the race. The other did not, I think. So it's going to be very interesting.
Before I forget about the question, it can simply be a yes or no, I guess. From StatsBloke, who asks or says, "Sorry, I was taking a nap. If you haven't done Cheg yet, phrasing, ask him if he's excited about wargaming now having offices in his home country."
Yes. So I'm from Belgrade, grew up there. I didn't spend too much time because, as we said, I've spent a lot of time on the ships. But when I was back home, that was Belgrade. And it's funny because I moved to Prague to start working for Wargaming, and 2 months later, Wargaming opened the office in Belgrade. Life,
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like, I could probably start working for the company there as well, in like video department or something like that, just because of my background. But I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing here because community team has to be together.
Yeah.
It is very interesting because I've been to the office 2 times already. Once it was just to visit, and the other time because I was on vacation back home. And the other time we were doing some recording for Armada there, which we usually do here in Prague. But it's a whole like split thing, and getting used to things and figuring out what's going to be done where, because it's a very, very difficult process, of course. I'm happy, and I'm happy to see it because already 2 people that I know are working there. It's a huge opportunity for folks from Belgrade to be part of something big like this when it comes to gaming. Croatia actually has their own big studios. They made games like Sears Sam. Then there's this one, Talos, I think, is like Portal.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. Like they actually have good games. And Serbia is not really, like maybe some mobile games and whatnot, except for Pagan, which unfortunately ended up the way it did. So having a big studio working from there, is like it's like a proud moment.
Cool. Very cool.
The circumstances, though, I'm very sad because, the reason we have a studio there was also because of the split, and which it's tied into war, and I just don't want war anywhere.
No,
that's all I'm gonna say.
It's a weird thing to want.
Well, you'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, there probably are a lot of people out there profiteering, but let's not jump into that. Let's jump into little victories instead.
I'm steering out of it. Yeah.
Little victories is a new segment that we started doing, and this month we do have a few little victories from people. First, we have Molotov saying, "With my week off work, I've been able to cook proper meals from fresh ingredients every day this week. Experiment a bit and stock the freezer with extra portions. I think that's supposed to be. I normally get in from work quite late and I don't get time, but I really enjoy cooking, and it's done me a world of good mentally just to get the chance to remind myself that there is something I'm good at and enjoy doing, and to improve my diet at the same time." And I celebrate
maybe
that
they're an alchemist, though.
I mean, could be. I don't know. It could be potions. It could.
It's such a good typo, man.
It is. And I didn't notice it until now. Oh my god. And this is a direct copy and paste from Discord. So yeah. Mari has a little victory, saying, "Lost a bit of weight. Wee! And I got a new fancy, beautiful shaker bottle for her energy drinks. That I've
amazing,
very fancy.
Very fancy. It's fancy colors. I like it. And speaking of jobs, Mara says, started onboarding process for an employment with a company that does things and stuff with aircraft. And his
wow.
And he used to work on some aircraft carriers for the United States Navy. So yeah.
Hey, good luck with that, and hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear that because he just moved back from Japan to the States, where his wife was stationed in Japan and he was also stationed there for a bit, I think. Anyway, we're gonna move on to something.
Wait, do we say our victories? I've unlocked every single researchable ship. Ha! I don't care if you say yes or no. Look, I actually had this.
That is a victory. I celebrate it. Go for it, man. I love that.
I've sent this in an email to my boss, which is Chrysanthus. And I was like, I was doing some reporting. I was like, P.S. A little victory. I've unlocked every single research ship in the game and have all tier 10s. I'm so happy about it.
Hell, even I haven't done that yet. Oh my god, I'm a slacker. I should do that.
Not many people have that. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to. It's a silly thing.
But we have something to smile about, and mine is very quick. And I'm just gonna do this right off the bat. And it's seeing pictures from my community on my Discord, and we're talking everything from Skype Cthulhu's girlfriend called the Giggler share a picture of her mug with a unicorn on it, or Dominica with his son in front of the Disney castle, and because they've wanted to go there for a long time, and just seeing people share it makes me smile. It does.
Man, I don't stream anymore, but I have a couple of people who are still filling the photo, section in my Discord, and it just makes you feel kind of warm, yes.
And is that part of some simple things for you?
No, I just wanted to get over like along your ones.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
My one, it happened today.
Yeah.
Our new community manager, El Fructini, is it's a difficult moving in process in Prague and whatnot. So their father drove a huge sofa here to Prague because he's from Vienna, so it's like relatively close. And I went to help him to get it to like second floor. And after that, there's like, so he lives on the second floor, and under him there's a pizza place that he never tried. And we're like, let's just go and get the pizza. We go in. You can't sit inside, so they mostly do delivery.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, no card, which is not very common here. So I was like, oh my God, what are we getting into? And then he managed to pay for it, whatever. It was actually very cheap as well. So I was like, oh my, okay. And it was very hot inside, and we were carrying this heavy stuff, and I was sweating. I don't like sweating. So I went out and I sat on a there's like a stepping stone, like a stone block kind of, in the little, like in the middle of the city, there's a small grass patch and a stone block on it, and next to it is parked like garbage truck or whatever. So not the best situation ever. But I sat there waiting for him with a little bit of wind like blowing, which felt really good. And he came from the pizza place, brought this best pizza I've had in Prague so far.
Nice.
That was super cheap. And it's like two friends sat there talking about random stuff, eating pizza, basically on the ground. And we were just like, man, look at this moment. This is like I just really enjoyed it. It was just like little things, man. Like, I don't know. It's just,
I like it.
Super chill.
And you mentioned friends, and Grumbles has noted down keyword old friends.
Yeah, so mine is from today as well, because goodness knows what my other one was that I don't know where I noted it. But I did this series a while back where I would go out for a daily walk. It wasn't necessarily every day, but regularly, and just share like some little pictures here and there, or talk to people about getting out and about and whatever, because with the whole COVID and all the other stuff, I just kind of, I guess my depression kicks in on me and just makes me not want to leave the cave a lot of the time, even though it's the complete opposite of most of my life, where I've always been out and about. Anyway, it just is how it is. And today I took the day off because I was feeling very tired anyway. And did some stuff, got some things out of the way, knew we were doing this tonight, so it's like, okay, I got nothing to do, but I'm not going to sit at the computer all day. And I went out for a walk and and I was like, I wonder if my old friends, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, the two sheep, I wonder if they're still there. And then I was walking along, and it's pretty cold. You know, we're just coming out of winter and everything. And I was like, not that much chance, I guess. You know, maybe they didn't make it through Christmas. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Oh God.
And then I was just walking along, and then all of a sudden, I looked. I like tilted my head and looked to where their little patches with their little fenced off area, and they've got a nice spot and a little shed thing, like a mobile shed thing that they sleep in and stuff, and their bale of hay bales and stuff there to eat. And I just kind of tilted my head and had a look, and it was really funny because they'd obviously heard me coming a lot sooner because they were just standing there looking at me. So I had this weird moment of like, I wonder if there you are, like that. And it was so funny. There was no one there, so I'm just walking along like fields and stuff, and then there's their pen area. And I literally like exclaimed out loud, like, hey friends, how you doing? It's good to see you. Like talking to two sheep, because I was literally, I'm like beaming even now talking about it. I was literally just beaming, and it was like it's like walking into a pub or something, like old friends or whatever, coffee shop. You haven't seen them for ages, and you're just like, hey guys, how you doing? High five.
No.
And I just went over to the fence and like, gave them a little tussle of the hair and whatnot.
Look, the animals have such a powerful, like a power over us. Like the only thing I really, really miss here is my dog. Like, and I just love animals in general. So, I mean, I would just, with my mental state, I would probably start crying, and just,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Myself, it was like definitely a happy tear in the eye. I was like, hey gang, how you doing? Like, a little bit fattened up, a little bit covered in wool and stuff. It was like, and I just took a picture and put it straight on my Discord.
Yes, I need to see it
immediately just to share it with people.
I love that. And without missing a beat, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this has been a great episode. And as for closing off, Cheg, do you have any words of wisdom from the community, for the community, not from the community?
Just like am I allowed to be starstruck?
I mean, sure.
It's guys, it's even better live. Like being part of it, not just listening, but so happy that I made it into one of my favorite podcasts. I used to bug these two all the time, like, hey, where's the next episode? So it's just it's late in the night. I'm still in the office, and I'm so happy. We did this. It's just a great feeling. So that's all from me. I'm just happy to be here.
So without further ado, it's gonna be a good night from me, a good night from Cheg, and a good night from Grumbles.
Good vibes, everyone.
Good vibes.